Chapter 211, Road. High in the sky, the winds roared. Die! Lord Sky Crane screamed, using his remaining strength to turn into a white light, crashing towards first-generation Gu. You're too naive to think of killing me. Blood White opened his mouth, his fangs exposed, as he charged ahead. Bam! A large explosion occurred, the impact pushing the two away by a long distance. Both were injured. As long as the mountain remains, water continues to flow. Junior brother, remember today's grudge, I will repay it someday. First-generation Gu laughed loudly, activating his bat wings, trying to fly away. Suddenly a huge shadow appeared in the sky. He raised his head, only to see that heavily injured Ironbeak Flying Crane King. Not dead. Damn it. First-gen Gu's expression changed. Being intercepted by the Ironbeak Flying Crane King, Lord Sky Crane caught up and unleashed a pincer attack. Eventually, the Flying Crane King's corpse fell to the ground, while Blood White was completely destroyed. Lord Sky Crane grabbed first-generation Gu's head, floating in mid-air. After his gaze was scattered for a while, he finally regained his concentration. He raised his head and laughed 3 times, and then started crying. After venting his emotions, he flew towards Qing Mao Mountain, but was suppressed by Bai Ningbing's self-detonation, forcing him to use the life burial Jade Gu. After he broke out of the ice, he frantically searched around, but only found Fang Zheng, who was at his dying breath from under the ice. The images on the wall showed this scene truthfully. What happened next will be skipped. It is the scenery along the path Lord Sky Crane traveled. Immortal Crane sect is one of the oldest sects in the Middle Continent. In practice, when a person in the sect goes out for an emergency mission, they would bring along a Gu worm that will record the process. Regardless of whether the mission succeeds, the Gu master will return to the mountain and report the results, and the sect will evaluate the assessment based on the events that were recorded. Lord Sky Crane, although a sect elder, was also not freed from this rule. However, he was too senior in authority and barely any Gu masters had the qualification to assess him in the sect, not even the current Immortal Crane sect leader could. But at this point, the elderly sitting in front of Lord Sky Crane was not an ordinary person. Supreme Elder He Feng Yang, rank 6 Gu master, titled Winged Crane Flying Immortal. He was wearing a white robe with a black belt, sitting on a futon with wide sleeves. His face looked like a youngster, smooth as jade. His eyebrows were green and long, extending to his waist. His eerie dark eyes stared at the scene in the wall, and then slowly retracted his gaze. Lord Sky Crane stood beside him politely, not even daring to breathe loudly. Truthfully speaking, Lord Sky Crane had been asleep for almost 1,000 years, and the Crane Immortal was still his junior. However, seniority was not determined by age, but by strength. Lord Sky Crane was rank 5, and although he was only a rank away from He Feng Yang, this distance was like an entire world apart, the difference between heaven and earth. Rank 5 are mortals, rank 6 are immortals. Lord Sky Crane. He Feng Yang spoke slowly, his voice as soothing as the calm river water. I am here. Lord Sky Crane quickly replied. Although you killed our sect's traitor this time, you did not manage to retrieve the Blood Skull Gu. Instead, you were suppressed and toyed around by 2 juniors. In the room, He Feng Yang's voice reverbed. Lord Sky Crane's head was hung even lower, showing signs of shame. However, one of them is the Northern Dark Ice Soul physique. No surprise you got suppressed. What's fortunate is that you tried to make amendments later. Let me ask you, the young man that you brought back, is he really the twin of the young man in the video? He Feng Yang asked. I've already investigated, it is so. The one that escaped is his older brother Fong Yuan, the one captured is the younger brother Fong Zheng. What's stranger is, these two are not on good terms. When I showed him the video of his brother slaughtering their clansmen, he hated his brother so much he would kill him on the spot. Lord Sky Crane laughed eerily. He Feng Yang nodded, it seems you have a plan, but do you have enough time? Lord Sky Crane's expression changed, his face turning solemn. Supreme Elder is right. My lifespan is at its limit, I am about to die, with only a few days left to live. Even the life burial Jade Gu cannot change my fate. His situation can only be resolved by finding a lifespan Gu, to solve the root problem. But lifespan Gu is hard to find, there are a few in Immortal Crane's sect, but they are not for him. They are held in the hands of the sect leader and some supreme elders. Thus, I have given up my lifetime saving in Gu worms earlier, to exchange for a spirit incubating flea. I've brought Fong Zheng into our sect, and made him my pupil. Afterwards I will teach him, and refine the bloodkin worm. I will then incite him to kill his brother, and retrieve the blood skull Gu for our Immortal Crane sect. Lord Sky Crane said. He Feng Yang raised his eyebrows, it sounds like you are confident of your plans. But, will that Fong Zheng really be manipulated by you? Although he had good talent, he is after all a kid. After I die, and store my soul in the spirit incubating flea, I will accompany him to grow, and advise him in cultivation. The road has already been paved for him, all he has to do is to walk. Saying so, Lord Sky Crane kneeled on the ground, begging, please give me another chance Supreme Elder. He Feng Yang was solemn, before saying, never mind, this might be your last attempt anyway. Thank you Elder, thank you Elder. Lord Sky Crane was overjoyed. Go, I await your good news. Within 20 years, I will attain success. Lord Sky Crane was excited and his tone was trembling, as he made his way out. Southern borders, Wancheng Mountain, Tai Clan City. The tall thick black rock walls, extended thousands of li. Tai Clan City was built at the upper half of the mountain, many rock houses, steel towers, lined up and extended to the mountain peak. The sunlight shone down on people who moved about in the city, carriages, horses and crowds, showing off a scene of prosperity. Clan Leader Pavilion is situated at the mountain peak, heavily defended, and have little people moving around. Patrolling groups take turns and the Gu masters are all vigilant, with not a hint of slack. On top of the Clan Leader Pavilion, two people were standing. A middle-aged man with a face cold as steel, with some warmth in his eyes. Beside him was a young girl, having a sad but determined gaze. It was Tai Roanan. You've only been back for a few days, right? This is the 19th time you are asking me. I am extremely upset by your father's death. You lost your mother early, and now your father too, but you must remember, you have me, your uncle. You are my niece, I will not put you in danger. Tai Clan leader sighed. Tai Roanan's eyes were shining, staring straight at Tai Clan leader, uncle, do you know? Although father passed away, I feel happy for him amidst my sadness. Father has spent his life eliminating evil, punishing crime. He did it, even with his injuries he did not back down. He walked on his path and finished it with resolution. And now, it is time for me to do the same. Tai Clan leader was stunned. This moment, he could see Tai Xieleng's shadow in Tai Roanan. So similar, these eyes, this gaze. In his recollection, he seemed to have returned to his younger days, with Tai Xieleng by his side, staring at the demon suppression tower at the peak of the mountain, saying with determination, I will bring down all crime in this world, and fill the world with justice and love. Locking all demonic Gu masters in the demon suppression tower, even if I have to fill it up. The oath back then, was still echoing in his ears. But his friend is no longer around. Seeing the two images overlap, Tai clan leader shook his head, dispelling the memories. He looked at the adamant Tai Ruanan with an admiring, loving, worried, and encouraging gaze. The path that you chose is not an easy one. TRN did not answer, but looked at the mountain peak. On Wancheng Mountain's peak area, there is a majestic steel tower. Its aura was overwhelming, like it is holding up the heavens, stepping on the mountains. The white clouds surround it like a mist, causing others to see it in a foggy image, adding a hint of mystery to the tower. This tower is not only famous in the southern borders, but also famous all over the world. Even in Middle Continent many people know of it. Demon Suppression Tower. The tower itself is over 300 meters tall, with almost 100 floors. It was designed to be rustic and ancient, overflowing with righteousness. Since it was built, hundreds, thousands, and even 10,000 demonic Gu masters have been imprisoned by Tai clan. Even Tai clan leader was not sure. It was the symbol of righteousness, the pride of the Tai Gu masters. It is also the resting place for many demonic cultivators, leaving behind their anguish, regret, indignance, and remorse. Demonic Gu masters pale when talking about it, and righteous Gu masters dance in pride when speaking of it. Tai Ruanan opened her mouth, her tone determined, like she was talking to Tai clan leader, and also herself. Wancheng Mountain Peak has a demon suppression tower. My heart also has a demon suppression tower. This path, Father could not finish walking on it, I will walk it for him. I can't hold on much longer. Chen Chuihua felt her head spinning, feeling sick and wanting to vomit at times. But she had nothing to vomit, and her body felt weak, as a sense of lethargy hit her. Her plan was hold on for 3 days, but a day had passed and she knew she was too optimistic. The danger the python poison caused her was worsening. She knew she was being forced into a dead end. She needed to find a healing Gu worm as soon as possible. God damn it, if not for those 2 bastards, I might have caught a wild Gu and cured my poison already. She felt uneasy. After getting poisoned, she had been trying to find a healing Gu, but amidst the large forest, filled with danger, she did not have any catching methods and have no made any progress. Bai Ningbing raised her dagger, cutting towards her right ear. Hold it. Fong Yuan stretched out his arm, grabbing Bai Ningbing's limb. The sharp knife was only a millimeter away from her right ear. To use the earth-hearing ear grass, one needed to cut off their right ear and replace it. It was just a ear, nothing much, especially compared to the rewards. Bai Ningbing did not feel any hesitation. Demonic cultivators were ruthless in nature, ruthless to others, and even more to themselves. Only people like who can give up what is needed and can have a great achievement. No need to do so, she's out. Fong Yuan said, starting to move. He used the earth-hearing ear grass, following Chen Chuihua from far away. Not long later, he heard fighting noises. The two moved closely with the dense shrubs, following behind secretly, only to see this demonic female Gu master fighting with a twin-headed boar. After watching for a while, their eyes shone with excitement. Chen Chuihua's situation was disastrous. Her battle strength was lower than ordinary by a large margin. This twin-headed boar is a 100-beast king, having a defensive Gu. This is a battle of attrition, we can take advantage of them. She really buried the charred thunder potato Gu. A bit strange, this Gu master fought for so long, why isn't her primeval essence running out? It seems she has some support Gu like the heavenly essence treasure lotus, or fish bubble Gu etc. After another short while, Fong Yuan saw that the time was right, and called the stealth scales Gu, handing it to Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing understood and nodded in agreement, hiding her body in getting closer secretly. Bam! Another explosion occurred, the twin-headed boar stepped on another charred thunder potato Gu. This time, it fell for good, never getting up again. It laid on the ground, continuing to struggle as its stomach was blown open. Its intestines started to flow out as its blood oozed out. This damn boar, what a thick skin. Only after so many explosions did it die. Chen Chuihua breathed roughly, leaning against a tree, seeing darkness ahead of her. This battle drained her last remaining energy, as extremely fatigue hit her. The fear in her heart sustained her, preventing her from just fainting immediately. No, I have to hurry back to the cave. If I collapse in the wild, it will be too dangerous. She was about to move, when she felt wind by her ears. Strange, how can there be wind? This was the last question in her lifetime. Bai Ningbing patiently got closer, and struck like lightning. She used the boar's death, to cause the demonic female Gu master to let down her guard, then killed her in one strike. Chen Chuihua's brain was smashed by the chainsaw golden centipede, as her headless body plopped on the ground. We did it. Fong Yuan laughed heartily, walking over quickly. Bai Ningbing had already squatted down, her mind entering Chen Chuihua's aperture, slightly disappointed. There's only 3 Gu in the aperture. Gu worms that were refined by Gu masters were slightly rigid, not as witty as wild Gu worms. The demonic female Gu master was dead. Her aperture started to get dark, as the 3 Gu worms remained inside. But this was no problem for Fong Yuan. Plunder Gu. He willed, easily retrieving these 3 Gu. They were, 1 rice bag grass Gu, 1 iron thorn thistle Gu, and a charred thunder beam mother Gu. These were not all. Fong Yuan searched around, and found a hairy leg Gu in the demonic female Gu master, a jumping grass Gu. Lastly he found a bookworm in her smashed brain matter. Unfortunately, this bookworm had already been killed by Bai Ningbing's attack earlier. This bookworm has to be the inheritance item. The information inside helped her to learn many things about Gu masters, it should have some secret recipes etc. Fong Yuan said in pity. Never mind the bookworm, there's no healing Gu in this demonic Gu master. Bai Ningbing was greatly disappointed. Fong Yuan was solemn, not speaking. He expected her to not have a healing Gu already, since she was poisoned, and if she had a healing Gu, even if it could not remove the poison, she would not be in such a bad state. What he felt weird was, in the battle earlier, this demonic Gu master's performance was weird. Especially in terms of primeval essence, her recovery speed surpassed a grade, in par with the 10 extreme physiques. But she was not a 10 extreme physique, only having a grade talent, and among these Gu worms, none could help recover primeval essence. So this is how the breasts are tied. At this time, Bai Ningbing unfolded the demonic female Gu master's breast wraps. Fong Yuan's gaze was fixated on the silver triangle tattoo on the corpse's breasts. The third watch Gu. Fong Yuan was surprised. Third watch 1 Gu, what's that? Bai Ningbing raised her eyebrows. This Gu is rank 5, able to accelerate time by 3 times. It is gone after 1 use, an expenditure type Gu. Once used on a Gu master, it will form a silver triangle tattoo on their chest. Soon after, Fong Yuan explained in detail. Third watch Gu, when used on a Gu master, caused their time to flow 3 times as fast. The river of time, flowing at its pace, measured at a singular speed. To normal people, a day is a day. But to the third watch Gu's user, a day is akin to 3 days condensed into 1. Chen Chuihua, who had the third watch Gu, experienced rapid cultivation growth. When others used 1 day to nurture their aperture, she used 3. The difference in speed is evidently seen. There is another advantage, that is primeval essence recovery. On her, the river of time flows faster, 3 times of normal people. Thus, her primeval essence recover is also 3 times. This is also why, in the battle earlier, her recovery was something that caught Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing by surprise. But everything has 2 sides, good and bad. With such a great effect, the third watch Gu has an equivalent weakness. The worst was, it expended lifespan. When time flows 3 times as fast, her lifespan shrinks in proportion, reduced to 1/3 of the original. Chen Chuihua only got her inheritance for less than a year, but to her it was almost 3 years. Also, any injuries or illnesses that required time to aggravate, would intensify on her. The green python's poison needed time to infiltrate her body, and worsen. When others get poisoned, they experience the worsening of poison at a daily rate. But to her, it was 3 days' worth of worsening every day. This is also why the poison affected her so greatly. To be given this third watch Gu, it seems this woman's inheritance is at least a rank 5 inheritance. Unfortunately, it had gone to waste, falling in the hands of such a person. Bai Ningbing snorted, looking at the headless corpse in disdain. In the long run, the third watch Gu's danger is huge, shrinking the Gu master's life to 1/3. But the truth is, this Gu is very useful to a demonic Gu master. Demonic Gu masters fight alone, without any clan or sect support. They also have to guard against the ganged attack of the righteous faction, and thus put survival as their priority. Only living is important, everything else can be discarded. The higher their cultivation, the greater their chances to survive. Third watch Gu can condense a Gu master's life, displaying their full potential at once, like the sakura blossoms, or fireworks, short-lived but brilliance. But without the third watch Gu, the sakura's buds won't grow in time, and would have been uprooted already. This is nothing strange, those who use the third watch Gu are all courageous and forward-looking people. But this woman had a different personality, weak and meek, like dragging and have no courage to move ahead. Thus she ended up like this, it is life. Fang Yuan gave the corpse a final look, before concluding. Bai Ningbing's expression was ugly. Without a healing Gu, what outcome would they face? This demonic female Gu master was the best example. Would this be her future as well? Fang Yuan laughed instead, patting her shoulders, consoling, the paths in this world are carved out by humans. Everyone has their own paths, no matter how wide others' path is, it might not suit you. We are both walking on our own paths, what is there to worry? Hearing so, Bai Ningbing's expression froze, before lightening up, nodding, you are right. Fang Yuan squinted, gazing at the dense forest ahead. After killing this demonic Gu master, and obtaining her Gu worms, his strength increased tremendously. But he knows that he lacked a healing Gu, and did not place his hopes in his luck. From now on, he might get a healing Gu, or be like this demonic female Gu master, not getting anything even until death. Or the next moment, he might get trampled by wild beasts and die, ending his ambitions. But so what? Stepping on his path, and continuing forward, that is all there is to do. Chapter 212, Monkey Brain Delicacy. Swish swish swish. In the aperture, waves of primeval essence ebb and flow, rushing towards the surrounding aperture walls. The sea was jade green, crashing continuously, it was rank 1 initial stage primeval essence. Rank 1 Gu masters have green copper primeval essence, initial stage being jade, middle stage is pale green, upper stage is dark green and peak stage is black green. The surrounding aperture walls were shining brightly, under the attack of the jade green waves, his foundation was slowly built up. Afterwards, the white light burst, and dimmed. White light condensed with each other, forming a waterish light ripple. At this point, the aperture light wall turned into a water wall. Finally, from rank 1 initial stage to middle stage, a light excitement emerged in Fang Yuan's heart. Initial stage aperture walls are light walls, middle stage is water walls. Once the water walls are created, it means Fang Yuan was back to rank 1 middle stage. It has been over 20 days since we killed that demonic female Gu master. During this period, I've been cultivating non-stop, not wasting a single minute. It is no wonder I advanced to middle stage. Fang Yuan slowly opened his eyes. What a pity I do not have the liquor worm on me, otherwise my cultivation would be even faster. Liquor worm can cause a Gu master's primeval essence to be refined into one small realm higher. Using it to assist in cultivation, can achieve a greater result with less effort. Since Fang Yuan's rebirth, other than the spring-autumn cicada, the first Gu worm he got was the liquor worm. After that, he purchased a second one and refined the two into the 4-flavor liquor worm. A pity though, was that the 4-flavor liquor worm only works on rank 2 Gu masters, being useless to the current Fang Yuan. The truth is, Fang Yuan had gotten 3 liquor worms in Qing Mao Mountain. The third was from Guyu Yao Li's body. This liquor worm was kept in Fang Yuan's hands, but after the Tai father and daughter came, to prevent himself from getting exposed, and being worried about Tai Xia Leng's investigative methods, he destroyed the liquor worm along with his other loots. After it happened, whether it was the right move or not, since Fang Yuan did it, he had no regrets. Even though now, if he had kept the liquor worm, it would be used to him, but at least, during that time, it did not allow the Tai father and daughter to investigate the matter on Guyu Yao Lu. If I reverse refine the 4-flavor liquor worm, I can get the rank 1 liquor worm, but there are many requirements to reverse refine, I cannot fulfill the conditions. Gu masters nurture Gu, use Gu, refine Gu. For refining Gu, it is split into fusion and reverse refinement. Fusion is to turn low-rank Gu worms into a higher rank. Reverse is the opposite. To reverse refine the 4-flavor liquor worm, there are many ways. Using the prodigal son Gu, will obtain 2 rank 1 liquor worms. Using the revert Gu, only 1 liquor worm is obtained. The butterfly transformation Gu will get the eerie Qi butterfly. Using the unpredictable Gu, what Gu is obtained will be unknown, possibly something new altogether. For Fang Yuan, the best case was the prodigal son Gu. But prodigal Gu was rarer than the liquor worm, and was hard to obtain. Best case scenario was revert Gu. Using revert Gu, although he will lose a liquor worm, Fang Yuan would not hesitate to do it. Retaining the 4-flavor liquor worm, and wait for rank 2 cultivation, that is under a safe environment. Now that Fang Yuan was in danger all the time, everything he does has to be for survival. The higher his cultivation rose, higher the chances to live. Cheep cheep cheep. Outside the cave, monkey screeches and footsteps could be heard. Fang Yuan's ears twitched, he was familiar with the owner of the footsteps. As expected, not long after, Bai Ningbing appeared. Her entire body was covered in a layer of thorn clothing. This special clothing is completely made of green vines and black sharp thorns, giving Bai Ningbing defense and also used for attacking purposes. To those fighting bare-handed, these thorns that were as sturdy as steel would leave a lasting impression on them. This thistle shirt was formed by the iron thorn thistle Gu. After killing the demonic female Gu master, Bai Ningbing wanted this rank 3 grass Gu, requesting for it and refining it as her life-bound Gu. So troublesome. Every time I leave and return, I have to be so careful of those charred thunder potatoes. Can't you bury less of them? She said as she begrudged, staring at the ground below her, jumping around as she avoided some pitfalls. Better to be safe than sorry. Fang Yuan replied lightly, turning his gaze towards Bai Ningbing's waist. On her waist was a string of monkeys. These monkeys were tiny, the largest was merely arm length. They had round heads, and thick black monkey hair, smooth and shiny. What was most prominent, was the tree leaves growing on their waists. These green leaves formed a circle, linked together around the monkey's hip bone and butt, like a grass skirt. These were the grass skirt monkeys. The grass skirt monkeys were delicious, being the source of food for Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing these days. These captured grass skirt monkeys were aware of their outcomes, struggling intensely but to no avail. The entire cave reverbed with their cries, and horrified screams. It was lunch time. Grill them, I am a little hungry. Bai Ningbing rubbed her tummy, throwing the tied grass skirt monkeys on the ground. Let me prepare them first, you can grill them later. Your grilled meat tastes much better than mine. She squatted down, about to kill them. Fang Yuan stopped her, let me teach you a new eating method. Afterwards, he moved his finger, and a gu flew out of Bai Ningbing's aperture with a bloody light. The blood light landed on Fang Yuan's palm, turning into a blood moon insignia. It was blood moon gu. Fang Yuan's palm started to glow with red light. Although the blood moon gu was rank 3, Fang Yuan was not using it to attack, thus he could still barely control it. Bai Ningbing did not know his intentions, her blue eyes staring intensely. Only to see Fang Yuan stretching his hand, raising a grass skirt monkey. He grabbed its neck, causing its head to be unable to move. Soon after, the palm shining with red light landed on the monkey's head, and circled one round. Back then, he used the Moonlight Gu to open the gambling rocks, now he used the Blood Moon Gu to cut the monkey's head. After one round, Fang Yuan's primeval essence hit rock bottom. As the red light vanished from his palm, Fang Yuan smiled as he grabbed the monkey's head, pulling it, and opened its skull. The white monkey brain was revealed from within. The grass skirt monkey struggled profusely, screaming in utter pain, its shrill screams echoed in the cave. But Fang Yuan has the strength of 2 boars, his arms like steel, not moving at all. The grass skirt monkey's limbs were tender and did not have claws, unable to harm Fang Yuan at all even if it tried. Have a taste of this fresh monkey brain. Saying so, Fang Yuan handed a spoon to Bai Ningbing. Like this, raw. Bai Ningbing, looking at the white brain with some blood traces, hesitated. Fang Yuan smiled, demonstrating. He placed the spoon into the monkey brain, scooping and placing it into his mouth. As he swallowed, the brain flowed down his throat. At that moment, the grass skirt monkey's screams intensified, its body spazzing like it was electrocuted. Bai Ningbing tried too, scooping the monkey brain and placing it into her mouth. At once, a fragrant grass smell spread from her tongue, without a tint of blood. Like the texture of bean curd, with just a little strength, the entire monkey brain melts in your mouth, with a little sweetness, giving a refreshing taste, in the entire mouth. Her throat gulped, swallowing this monkey brain. Her blue eyes shone with bright light, crystal clear, as the fairy-like face showed an enjoying expression. So incredibly delicious. The young girl exclaimed. Only this grass skirt monkey can have such a taste. Their brain is a natural delicacy. Fang Yuan said as he scooped another into his mouth. He advanced to middle stage, and it calls for a mini celebration. This monkey brain is a good reward. Bai Ningbing laughed heartily, moving faster than before, swallowing the second mouthful. This grass skirt monkey, whose skull was cut open, after a temporary madness, was at death's door. Its bright jewel-like eyes had already turned dim. Other grass skirt monkeys, seeing their companion's state, struggling like crazy trying to escape. Under the restraint of the ropes, their struggles were futile, only allowing them to roll around on the ground. Eating this monkey brain feels like eating ice cream on Earth. The two worked together and very quickly finished this monkey brain. One more, one more. Bai Ningbing did not have enough, licking her lips and waving the spoon, demanding. Fang Yuan's primeval essence had recovered to 90% already. He did the same thing and cut open another skull. At once, the two continued their meal, satisfied. In the cave, the echoes of the screaming grass skirt monkeys were shrill and painfully heard. After eating the monkey brains, they grilled the monkey meat. The monkey meat of the grass skirt monkey were fresh and succulent, especially their breast meat. The entire taste was like fish grilled on bamboo leaves. Rice bag grass. Fang Yuan willed, and a green light shot out of his aperture. The light landed on the ground, growing green buds. In a few breaths' time, the bud grew into leaves, and the leaves expanded, turning into vines. The vines extended, and after covering 10 meters, a few branches grew large leaves. These leaves looked like buckets. Firstly, only a finger could fit. But eventually, it became fist size, bowl size, and finally ripe. Bai Ningbing meticulously plucked a leaf. Opening the leaves at the top, rice could be seen inside. Large plump kernels, perfectly white. Bai Ningbing raised her head and opened her mouth, pouring a mouthful of rice into her mouth. After chewing, she ate some monkey meat to add some flavor. Eating till full is satisfaction. She exclaimed. How are those grass skirt monkeys? Fang Yuan asked. Bai Ningbing's mind came back. No issue if we do not enter that forest deeply. But once we do, 3 monkey kings show up. The wine you want to get is at the most central area of the forest. It will not be easy to obtain. Chapter 213, Pitfall. In this world, humans weren't the only ones who knew how to brew wines. The earliest records of wine came from the legend of Renzu. Renzu's 2 eyes turned into his eldest son Verdant Great Sun and daughter Desolate Ancient Moon. Verdant Great Sun was always with Desolate Ancient Moon, and this close association created feelings towards his own sister. However, Desolate Ancient Moon refused his wooing. Verdant Great Sun was annoyed because of this, and knew he needed some help, thus he asked the Wisdom Gu. At first, the Wisdom Gu ignored him and avoided him as much as it could. But Verdant Great Sun kept on persevering, and the Wisdom Gu couldn't endure this annoyance anymore, so it told him away. In the east dwells a group of honey peach monkeys. Drink the wine brewed by them and come find me. Thus, Verdant Great Sun went to the east and drank the wine. The wine brewed by the honey peach monkeys was fruit wine. And ever since Verdant Great Sun drank the wine and returned, his face had a rosy flush. He smacked his lips as he recalled the taste. So, wine is sweet. The Wisdom Gu smiled and said, in the west lies a group of psychic monkeys. Go taste the wine brewed by them. The wine brewed by psychic monkeys was bitter wine. Verdant Great Sun went to the west and drank the wine. Since then, his tongue had a yellowish-brown hue to it. He recalled the taste with a bitter expression, so, wine can also be bitter. Wisdom Gu said to him again, wine is both bitter and sweet, love is the same and human lives are even more so. At the north dwells a group of Vajra monkeys. They also brew wine, go taste it. The Vajra monkeys brewed strong wine. Verdant Great Sun enjoyed this wine very much, and drank till he was dead drunk. He felt this wine was really to his taste, and wanted to drink even more after getting drunk. He drank from the bowl at first before trying to drink it directly from the wine jar. Finally, he started throwing up. The wine started showing its effects, making him feel an unbearable pain. He felt the insides of his body was on fire, as if lava was flowing through them. It's too hot. He screamed. All the fire flowed in reverse towards his head and his hair started burning. From then on, his hair burned endlessly like fire. When Verdant Great Sun woke up, he saw the Wisdom Gu looking at him. "What did you think of the strong wine?" the Wisdom Gu asked. Verdant Great Sun heaved a sigh. "I understand now, no matter how good the wine is, you will vomit it out if you drink too much. Everything should be taken with moderation." The Wisdom Gu laughed out loudly. "In the north dwells a group of sky-water monkeys. Their wine is also quite good, go taste it." Sky-water monkey's wine was clear wine and was completely opposite of the strong wine. Verdant Great Sun lightly tasted the wine, and the moment he did so, he completely forgot all his worries and felt like he was floating in the air, with a hazy and intoxicated look in his eyes. The Wisdom Gu again asked him about his experience. He lightly waved his hands. "Having known the joys of wine, I will not pass it on to those who are sober." The Wisdom Gu chuckled and left quietly. Thus, humans weren't the first species to brew wine, rather it was the monkeys who were ahead of the humans. Ordinary monkey groups all knew how to brew wine. The wines were different from one monkey group to another, with all kinds of taste. However, humans collectively called the wine brewed by the monkeys as monkey wine. Fang Yuan had chosen this cave to rest because he sensed the sign of the breakthrough in his cultivation and stopped at this cave to concentrate on breaking through the bottleneck. Another reason was for the monkey wine. The higher the rank of the Gu worms, the more food they consumed, and at the same time, the period for their feeding increased. Fang Yuan had made sufficient preparations, but there was a limit to the storage capacity of the Tusita flower. After the consumption in this whole journey, there was some space cleared up which would be more than enough to store some monkey wine. Wine had other uses as well, disinfecting the wounds and warming the body. The reverse refinement of 4 flavors liquor worm also required wine as an auxiliary ingredient. Even if the conditions for the reverse refinement weren't met, having wine as a backup food for the 4 flavors liquor worm was good enough. However, getting the monkey wine wasn't easy. This grass skirt monkey groups were 100 beasts group, but their scale was close to that of the 1000 beasts group, and had 300 beast monkey kings. Monkeys were a united bunch and faced their enemies in groups. Bai Ningbing might be a rank 3 peak stage Gu master, but she was alone and trying to brute force her way through, would only lead to disaster. And although Fang Yuan had advanced to rank 1 middle stage, the amount of help his advancement could give was next to nothing in this situation. However, Fang Yuan was determined to get the monkey wine and Bai Ningbing was worried about this. "So, we need to use our brains, follow me." Fang Yuan stood up and patted Bai Ningbing's shoulder. He carefully stepped on the ground, avoiding the buried charred thunder potato, and walked out of the cave. Outside the cave were lush trees, bright sunlight, with the bird songs and fragrance of flowers in the air. In moments, the two neared the territory of the monkey groups. Fang Yuan carefully observed and finally chose a sloped area. He surveyed the area from the higher grounds before nodding his head in satisfaction. He stepped around on the ground and said, "Let's dig here." After enough time passed for an incense stick to burn, this sloped area that faced the sun was dug out by the two, with a depth of 30 feet and a diameter of 50 feet. Charred thunder potato mother Gu. Fang Yuan crouched on the bottom of this pit, and summoned the Gu with a thought. This Gu resembled a potato, with uneven surface and tiny little holes all over it. Regardless of its appearance, it was a genuine rank 3 Gu. "My primeval essence won't be enough, I will lend it to you." Fang Yuan handed the charred thunder potato mother Gu to Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing held the Gu and poured her primeval essence to it. Soon, green sprouts sprouted out from those tiny little holes in the potato mother Gu's surface. The sprouts grew rapidly, blossomed and bore fruit. After several breaths of time, the finger-thick dark green fruit was fully matured. The sprout withered and came falling down with the fruit on by Ningbing's hands. Fang Yuan took these dark green fruits and carefully filtered through them, removing the bad, dead or empty shells. After the selection, there were less than 1/3 of the fruits left. These fruits were the charred thunder potato gu, a rank 2 gu. Once they were buried in the ground, they grew with the help of the fertility of the soil, and as long as any living beings stepped near it, the vibration would cause the charred thunder potato gu to self-detonate. Fang Yuan held one of the fruits and refined it instantly. As he pinched it in between his fingers, he poured his green copper primeval essence towards it. The charred thunder potato gu started giving off a faint green light and slowly hovered up. With a shift of his mind, the charred thunder potato gu quickly drilled into the ground. Fang Yuan deliberately buried it deep on the ground, stopping only when the potato gu was buried an arm's length into the ground. The primeval sea in his aperture rapidly decreased as the surrounding fertility of the soil gathered towards the charred thunder potato gu. In Fang Yuan's perception, this tiny grass gu instantly grew up to a fist-sized potato. This was a matured charred thunder potato gu which could explode with even a slight vibration. Bai Ningbing marveled at this scene. Looks like that demonic path female gu master buried the charred thunder potato gu near the surface of the earth, making it easy to self-detonate. The way you buried it, it should not explode even if I step above it, right? Naturally. Fang Yuan replied and continued on his work. Bai Ningbing's mouth twitched. Fang Yuan didn't reply her properly, and with her proud demeanor, she didn't question anymore, but rather concentrated her gaze and began to ponder upon it herself. After being with Fang Yuan for such a long time, she knew Fang Yuan never made useless moves. Fang Yuan stood up only after burying this layer of the pit. He wiped the sweat on his forehead before calling Bai Ningbing to bury the pit together. But after just covering the pit for a bit, when the bottom of the pit was raised by 15 feet, Fang Yuan ordered to stop, then he continued burying another charred thunder potato gu. Bai Ningbing immediately realized Fang Yuan's plan upon seeing this. So it was like that. Charred thunder potato gu is only a rank 2 gu and self-detonation of just one has a limited power. By burying them like this, once they explode, even 1,000 beast kings might not get off easy. But how will you lure those 3 monkey kings here? Charred thunder potato gu was a offensive gu, but it couldn't be moved, which greatly lowered its practical value. How difficult can that be? At the opportune time, we will just capture 2 to 3 young grass skirt monkeys and taste their brains here. At that time, their miserable screeches will definitely attract the furious monkey groups. It will only be ordinary monkey groups at first which you will be able to block and fend off. Then it should be those 3 monkey kings. Fang Yuan replied while burying the grass gu. Bai Ningbing couldn't help nodding her head. Wild beasts were wild beasts, possessing limited intelligence. Fang Yuan's plan might be very rough, but it was absolutely practical. As long as we kill the 3 monkey kings, getting the monkey wine will be as easy as a pie. Of course, it will be even better if we can take the gu worms on those monkey kings. Bai Ningbing mulled over it. Following this, they spent the whole afternoon in this pit. Bai Ningbing produced the charred thunder potato gu continuously, after which Fang Yuan would personally bury them into the ground, and then the 2 would bury that layer of soil. After one layer of soil was another layer of soil, till the pit was filled to the surface. The 2 were drenched in sweat. Fortunately, Fang Yuan possessed the strength of 2 boars and Bai Ningbing had also fully cultivated the strength of 1 crocodile. However, the next day, Fang Yuan wasn't showing any signs of stopping and continued to dig out another pit. Bai Ningbing was puzzled by it. Fang Yuan replied, "Just one pit isn't enough of a guarantee, there should always be backup plans. Being a bit more prepared is always a good thing." Like this, in the following 3 days, Bai Ningbing finally became aware of Fang Yuan's close to perverted cautiousness. They had dug no less than 5 pits and buried great numbers of charred thunder potato goo. Naturally, the scale of the first pit was the greatest. Due to all these preparations, the grass skirt monkey plan went by extremely smoothly. The monkey groups were all defeated with just 2 pitfalls. Out of the 3 monkey kings, 2 died and 1 was injured. The injured monkey king escaped with the remaining monkey groups. The dead monkey kings were blasted to pieces, the goo worms on them didn't survive. Fang Yuan stored great amounts of monkey wine till the Tusita flour couldn't store anymore. The amount of wine was enough to reverse refine the 4 flavors liquor worm. There wouldn't be a problem in feeding the liquor worm for at least 2 years. And if they came across a caravan, these monkey wine could also be sold for good price. Before we go on, we need to clean the battlefield and fill up the 2 exploded pits. Is there a necessity for such cautiousness? Bai Ningbing felt pain whenever she thought of the pitfalls. Now. Fang Yuan glanced at her before saying one sentence which made Bai Ningbing obediently work. "Did you forget how we chased that demonic path female Gu master?" It was by relying on the tracks left by the demonic path female Gu master on her way. Those pitfalls that you dug, don't end up burying yourself with it. Chapter 214, Boom. By Gu Mountain, I am finally here. Fang Yuan sighed as he stared at the white mountain from a slope. Bai Ningbing was beside him, standing silently. The 2 were in rags with tiredness showing all over their faces. Just earlier, they had escaped from the steel rage boar's family of 5. Steel rage boars were a peculiar beast group, having small numbers and moved around in families of less than 10 members. But any mature steel rage boars were at least 100 beast king. In the family of 5 that was chasing after Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing, Grandpa Boar was 1,000 beast king, while Daddy Boar and Mother Boar were 100 beast kings, and even their son and daughter had rank 1 goo worms in them. It has been 5 days since they stole the monkey wine. After a long and arduous journey, Bai Gu Mountain was finally in reach. The southern border was full of mountains. Ordinary hills were not called mountains, only when they were at least 10,000 feet can they be qualified to be called a mountain. Bai Ningbing stood on the slope, staring at the faraway mountain. This was her first time seeing Bai Gu Mountain. There were many hills surrounding the Qing Mao Mountain. But this Bai Gu Mountain was like a solitary general, rising high above the ground while the surroundings were flat, and the scenery around it was deathly white. This white was not the snow-like white, but more of a bone-white color. Bai Gu Mountain, as the name implied, every rock on the mountain were made of bones. People called it bone rocks. Bai Gu Mountain was not an absolute dead area. There were many special vegetation and large numbers of bone beasts living here. At the same time there were many bone-type wild goo worms. Bai Ningbing looked and looked, frowning. Any tall mountain and long river were the condensation ground of primeval essence. Bai Gu Mountain was uninhabited, a completely wild mountain. There were many wild beasts, goo worms and fatal plants. This is such a dangerous place, yet Fang Yuan insists on entering the mountain. What intentions does he have? Or rather, what thing was there that deeply attracted him? Fang Yuan was flipping through his memories at this moment. Bai Gu Mountain was still a wild mountain now, without any human inhabitants. But this situation will change completely 10 years later. A large-size village will move their base here and develop. This clan was named the Bai village. In the future, with Bai Gu Mountain as their center, they would become the overlord of the surrounding 1,000 miles of land. What Fang Yuan remembers most clearly, is not the rise of the Bai village's power, because in this world, a single person's strength can be above a group's. Rather, he was thinking of a pair of twins in the Bai village. Bai Sheng and Bai Hua. This pair of siblings discovered a cave by accident during a test at Bai Gu Mountain's back area, when they were 18. In this cave, they activated an inheritance. It was a complete inheritance of a rank 4 righteous Gu master. This Gu master's name was unknown, only his title was left behind, Flesh Bone Lord. Bai Sheng and Bai Hua benefited greatly from this, and became the twin stars of the righteous path after getting the inheritance. 100 years later, they both rose to rank 5, taking over Bai village. The strength of 2 rank 5 Gu masters pushed the clan's strength to an apex. The Gu worms in a complete inheritance would cover all 6 aspects of attack, healing, defense, movement, storage and investigation. After getting this inheritance, I will be able to hold my own and have the ability to advance or retreat. Earlier when Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing escaped from Qingmao Mountain, their Gu worms were not well-rounded because of their low cultivation. They were like a boat moving against the tides, moving up the cliff. With just a little bad luck, they would be in danger. After a tough struggle, their chance came, and they killed a heavily injured demonic female Gu master. By taking her Gu, which included the rice bag Gu and jumping grass Gu, they could barely get by. But they still had weaknesses. Not only due to the lack of healing Gu, but also because of their low cultivation. Even if Fang Yuan advanced to rank 1 middle stage, so what? Green copper primeval essence was still green copper primeval essence. What he was relying on now was his A-grade talent and the heavenly essence treasure lotus recovery speed to sustain his consumption. But to be strict, his battle strength was negligible. If not for Bai Ningbing, he might have died to the crocodiles during the battle in the beach. He was able to get this far due to Bai Ningbing. But relying on others could never compare to relying on oneself. If I can get the Bai Gu Mountain inheritance, many problems would be easily resolved. Fang Yuan thought to himself. Firstly, it was the Jade Bones Gu. With this Gu, the bones in his body would cast away the brittleness of mortal bones, and become more firm and tougher. His current body can only sustain the strength of 2 boars, but after he used the Jade Bones Gu, he would be able to add the strength of a crocodile on top of this. After that was a healing Gu. Fang Yuan remembered this inheritance has a very famous rank 3 healing Gu, Flesh White Bones. In his previous life, it was received by Bai Hua, causing her to become a famous healing Gu master. Finally, it was the one Fang Yuan ranked as the most important, Bone Flesh Unity Gu. This Gu was the Bone Flesh Lord's innovation, the only one in the world. This Gu's incredible usage riled up many large forces in the southern borders, in his previous life. If Gu worms were to be classified according to their use, they could be divided into 7 categories. Attack, defense, healing, investigation, storage, movement and cultivation. Liquor worm, for flavor liquor worm, man-beast burial Gu, relic Gu, or heavenly essence treasure lotus, they were all under cultivation category. And this bone flesh unity Gu was a mystical Gu under the cultivation category. Similar to yin-yang rotation Gu, it was a pair of Gu, used on 2 Gu masters. It could let the 2 Gu masters undergo dual cultivation 1 and advance their cultivation together, getting greater effects with less effort. If I can obtain the Bone Flesh Unity Gu, with Bai Ningbing's help, I can advance my cultivation quickly. My cultivation will be shocking after I reach rank 3 stage. Especially in early stages, its effects will be even better than the liquor worm. I must get it no matter what. Fang Yuan glanced at Bai Ningbing through the corner of his eyes. Bai Ningbing realized nothing, still staring at Bai Gu Mountain. Fang Yuan laughed coldly in his heart. When they were about to move out, a few silhouettes suddenly flew towards them. Righteous Gu Masters. Both Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing were taken aback. A total of 4 Gu Masters were approaching them. When they were 100 steps away, they landed on the ground and moved towards Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing. The leader was an old Gu Master, giving off a rank 3 aura while the remaining 3 were all rank 2. Their uniform were the same and their movements were in synergy, showing the signs of an elite group. How can we encounter righteous Gu Masters in this desolate mountain range? Gu Masters and wild beasts are completely different, even though I am rank 3 peak stage, with the chainsaw golden centipede's razors dulled and Fang Yuan as a burden, I might not be their match. We're in trouble now. The 4 Gu Masters got closer amidst Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing's bitter sighs. Dusk. The last few rays of the sun were like blood, and crows screeched as they flew back to their nests. Tai Ao Tian walked in the center of the group with a cold expression. There were 8 people in their group when they had set out of Qing Mao Mountain, each were an expert of the clan. But now only 3 of his group remained. Tai Ao Tian's heart bled when he thought of the sacrifices. The losses were too severe. This was way out of his expectations. The losses were not because their cultivations were insufficient, but because their luck was too bad. After finding out Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing's traces, they started to move along Huanglong River. But Huanglong River flowed too rapidly, leaving behind barely any traces. Even if they used Gu worms and had investigative experts, they still deviated from the path. With no choice, they had to move against the current, spending a lot of time before discovering Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing's raft. However, troubles came soon after. They encountered a large number of 6-legged crocodiles and were attacked. To be honest, they were pretty unlucky. This beach was the breeding ground of the 6-legged crocodiles, and after it was destroyed, the 6-legged crocodiles that dominated the area were wiped out. Beast groups were also split up into different forces. After the original owner died, this place became free for all, and many surrounding groups of 6-legged crocodiles competed for it. Just when they were about to take control of this area, Tai Clan's group arrived on the shore. What thing dares to invade our territory? This land belongs to us 6-legged crocodiles. Snatching territory from us, you're asking for it. The territorial concept of wild beasts was not to be trifled with. Thus, a huge battle broke out, and under the united attacks of 2 groups of 1,000 beast groups and 3 groups of 100 beast groups, the Tai Clan group lost 2 members and were forced to escape. Fang Yuan's methods of removing traces were very experienced. Thus, their investigations did not make much progress. With the help of Gu worms, they eventually found out the direction Fang Yuan was headed to. But then, a colorful nightmare descended. The Xian Yuan divine pheasant descended from the sky, staring at them and thinking of them as food. Even now, the entire escape process was deeply buried in Tai Ao Tian's heart. The image of the Xian Yuan divine pheasant became his nightmare, waking him up from his sleep every night. Xian Yuan divine pheasant took away 3 of his companions' lives. Among them were their most professional investigative Gu master, and even a rank 3 defensive Gu master. Truly insane losses. Right now, the Gu master in charge of investigation was a half-baked one. Even with such a loss, Tai Ao Tian did not think of giving up. He was the 4th young master of Tai clan, with a great aptitude and carried the hopes and dreams of the clan since young. He cultivated intensely, inheriting the iron will personality of the Tai clansman. Reinforcing Tai Xueleng and his daughter was his first mission out of the village. But he only managed to save Tai Roanan, and the divine investigator was sacrificed. This was a great contrast to his original intention. However, if he caught the demonic bastard that got the Blood Sea inheritance and take revenge for Tai Xueleng, it would be a great success. Such a merit would turn into his asset when vying for the clan leader position in the future, getting him more support from the clansmen. He was not worried about the strength of the demonic bastards. In the process of chasing them, they had discovered from the traces that the two had limited battle strength, or maybe they had suffered some injuries, only having the collective strength of one rank 3 Gu master. Even though I lost many companions, I am a rank 3 Gu master, and so is Tai Dao Ku. With 2 other rank 2 Gu masters to assist, our strength dominates those two. Once we capture the demonic bastards, the loss of manpower will turn into proof of my iron will and never give up traits. Tai Ao Tian's eyes shone with determination. Fourth young master, we have found some traces ahead, it seems the direction we are heading is not wrong. At this moment, the investigative Gu master reported. Oh. Quickly bring me there. After the time taken to drink a cup of tea, 2 holes were dug open, revealing corpses of a large number of grass skirt monkey. These grass skirt monkeys have died for less than a week, it seems we are catching up to those two. Tai Dao Ku said in joy. Tai Ao Tian breathed in deeply, his mood was suddenly lifted. Finally, we're nearing the end. He clenched his fists, walking forward excitedly. He stared at the beautiful sky, the night lights shone on his young face, reflecting brightly in his eyes. All his patience and efforts were not in vain, he was finally getting the results. Although the sun is setting, I can see hopes and the future from it. He sighed in his heart, suddenly having the mood to ascend this slope, and enjoy this beautiful moment. The few Gu masters near him, gazed at him with admiration. Fourth young master is indeed fourth young master. On this journey, we had thought of giving up, but fourth young master persevered alone, and now he is about to get the fruits of his labor. In fourth young master, I can see the clan's hopes and a bright future ahead. I swear I will only follow fourth young master in this life. They stared in daze at Tai Ao Tian ascending the slope. They could almost see the scene where one day, Tai Ao Tian ascends to the position of the clan leader. But at the next moment, an intense explosion occurred. Boom! Chapter 215, Fang Yuan Sheds Tears. Bai Mo Xing was already 68 years old. He should have retired already at this age. However, Bai clan was in a rough situation these few years, and as an important clan elder and the uncle of the clan leader, he, who had always been working hard and doing his best, couldn't abandon the clan. Now, during this crucial moment of his clan's fate, he undertook the orders to leave the mountain, but during the journey, he accidentally sensed the aura of 2 Gu masters. Were they demonic Gu masters? This trip was very important to Bai clan and there could be no mistakes. Thus, he immediately led his group and approached the source of the aura. 2 youngsters. He was shocked when he saw Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing. His gaze paused on Bai Ningbing first. Bai Ningbing looked frosty and her blue eyes gave off cold light as she stared fearlessly at Bai Mo Xing, revealing her rank 3 aura. So young and already a rank 3, a genius. Not only Bai Mo Xing, the other 3 in his group also had such thoughts after seeing Bai Ningbing. At once, 4 pairs of eyes were fixated on Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing had transformed into a girl, her beautiful features gave off a cool aura, causing her to appear like a snow fairy. Her pearl-like brilliance that couldn't be concealed by her tattered clothes, portrayed her firm personality, causing others to love yet pity her. Compared to her, Fang Yuan's presence was much dimmer. He had an ordinary look, with cultivation of merely rank 1, many gazes swept through him and went back to Bai Ningbing. Fang Yuan liked this, the less attention he receives, the better. Bai Mo Xing, however, was different, his gaze quickly turned towards Fang Yuan. Bai Ningbing was protecting Fang Yuan and her stance showed that she would not give up without a fight. And Fang Yuan had a calm look, even though he was hiding behind her. To be closely protected by this young genius girl, this young man seems to be the leader of the two. Who is he? Bai Mo Xing was after all very experienced, his discerning skills were very accurate. He had thought they were two demonic Gu masters, but now his heart wavered. Seeing Bai Ningbing and Fang Yuan's appearance, as well as their righteous Gu masters' clothing, they seemed more like young masters in distress. If they are demonic Gu masters, just kill them. But if they are young masters from other clans, we have to watch out. If we cause the forces behind them to take revenge on our Bai clan, I, Bai Mo Xing, will become the clan's sinner. But thankfully our side is stronger than them, thus the situation is under control. Bai Mo Xing was still thinking, when Fang Yuan suddenly took a step forward. He cupped his fists. I am Guyu Fang Zheng, young master of Qingmao Mountain's Guyu clan, my respects to senior. Qingmao Mountain. Guyu clan young master. The people were bewildered. Bai Ningbing was also shocked, but she lowered her head so as to cover her gaze from giving them off. She knew that Fang Yuan was starting to cook up a story again. The enemy was stronger than them, thus they had to rely on wits to get out of their predicament. She clearly understood the situation, the rapport they had built up these few days caused her to move one small step back towards Fang Yuan's side. She continued staring at them angrily, like a close bodyguard who was not afraid of dying. Young lad, you are lying. Qingmao Mountain has long been destroyed, you think I don't know that? Bai Mo Xing shouted with a cold expression. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly, waving his hands, exactly because Qingmao Mountain is destroyed, I ended up here. Could I be so presumptuous as to ask for senior's name? Bai Mo Xing hesitated, but a young man beside him quickly spoke, then listen closely, we are the elites of Bai clan and this is our Bai clan's #1 elder, also my uncle, Lord Bai Mo Xing. Bai Mo Xing really wanted to strangle this nephew to death. This secret operation by Bai clan this time, was on a large scale, but their true intentions were unknown to those who were not higher ups. Thus, these people were completely in the dark. On the surface they were out hunting to temper the young master's bravery. But their true motive was to find the spirit spring in Bai Gu Mountain, and start their wild beasts extermination operation. But there's no way they can guess it. Bai Mo Xing calmed down as he looked at Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing. As expected, it was Bai clan. Fang Yuan laughed coldly in his heart. He had already guessed the situation from these 4 Gu masters' appearance. Bai clan's spirit spring was drying out, they needed to find a new one and relocate their clan. The act of relocating a clan was very important, and many preparatory work went into it, and secrecy was also one of them. Otherwise, once the enemy forces found out, they could disrupt their plans and cause the entire Bai clan to fall into danger of getting wiped out. What Fang Yuan had not expected was the Bai clan leader planning so far ahead, starting the preparations 10 years earlier, sending these clansmen to Bai Gu Mountain occasionally to carry out their scouting. There were indeed reasons beyond luck in Bai clan's eventual prosperity. The appearance of Bai clan Gu masters was a surprise to Fang Yuan and this would have a great impact on his following actions. On the surface, however, Fang Yuan smiled and cupped his fists, oh so you are from Bai clan, a fellow clan from righteous faction, nice to meet all of you. He then turned to Bai Ningbing and said, Ningbing, stay down, we are safe. Bai clan does not have demonic Gu masters. Bai Ningbing felt goosebumps all over her body when she heard Fang Yuan speak in such a gentle manner. She held in her disgust and withdrew her battle intent, taking another step back while still remaining silent. This act caused the four opposing Gu masters to sigh in relief. After all, she was a rank 3 Gu master. So her name is Ningbing. Bai Mo Xing's nephew repeated the name in his heart, his expression slightly dazed. Bai Mo Xing narrowed his eyes and probed. It sounds like Junior Guyu has met some demonic Gu masters along the way. Yes, my heart still palpitates when I think about it. Fang Yuan patted his chest with fear in his eyes, but luckily, the clan leader and a few clan elders came in time, and killed that rank 3 Gu master. Clan leader and elders. Bai Mo Xing's heart jumped as he quickly followed up, don't tell me your clan leader and elders are nearby. Fang Yuan shook his head, sighing, we got lost from the main team. Bai Mo Xing's heart eased. But Fang Yuan's next sentence caused him to be alert again, but I believe that before long, we will regroup again. Because our destination this time is Baigu Mountain. Bai Mo Xing was nervous. Baigu Mountain? Why are you all coming to Baigu Mountain? This. Fang Yuan hesitated and didn't speak up. Bai Mo Xing snorted while a bad feeling emerged in his heart. Now that Qingmao Mountain was destroyed, what would the remains of the Guyu clan do? Obviously finding a new location and rebuild their home. Don't tell me they chose Baigu Mountain too. Damn it. In an instant, Bai Mo Xing's heart surged with killing intent. If his guess was correct, then Qingmao Mountain's main team was his Bai clan's enemy. But he soon contained his killing intent. He was old and was no longer as impulsive as back when he was young. When an elder handled matters, stability was their main priority. He calmed down and thought about it, even if he killed these two immediately, it might not salvage the situation. Killing these two would not stop the remaining Qingmao Mountain inhabitants from coming, it would instead worsen the situation, creating foes even before they met. These enemies had no foundation here but were powerful. Didn't you hear what the Guyu young master said? The main team had the clan leader and several elders. The most troublesome part was these people wouldn't hesitate to fight to death if the situation became desperate. Furthermore, even if he attacked now, that girl called Ningbing was a true rank 3 Gu master. His side would still have casualties, although they were stronger. Finally, such an important matter should not be decided by him. The clan leader was not far away, why not ask her for instructions? Bai Mo Xing decided to stabilize the situation with Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing first as he thought of this. He started smiling and said enthusiastically, this is really a coincidence, Junior, our Bai clan's main team is just nearby. We are holding an annual hunting event, as half the landlord, we invite you to come and be a guest. Please allow us to host you. This. Fang Yuan hesitated purposely. Come, our Bai clan's grilled lamb leg is top tier. Bai Mo Xing's nephew also began to persuade, but his gaze was fixed on Bai Ningbing. Fang Yuan touched his tummy, showing a conflicted expression, a bit of hesitation but also yearning. Bai Mo Xing's eyes shone and laughed loudly, Junior, don't hesitate, anymore, and you are not giving me face. Only then did Fang Yuan bow, then I shall impose upon your clan. A banquet was held inside a spacious tent. Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing took a seat next to each other. A few clan elders sat opposite each other, and in the head seat was the Bai clan leader. The tent's roof was opened, allowing them to see the blue sky. And in the center was a lamb being grilled, its fragrance extending throughout the entire tent. Come, lamb leg is the most tender. Guests from afar, please have a taste. Bai clan leader said with enthusiasm. She was a middle-aged woman, and under her indication, the servants grilling the lamb, cut the lamb leg and offered it to Fang Yuan. Soon after, they cut off the other leg and placed it in front of Bai Ningbing in a silver plate. The lamb leg was still sizzling hot. Fang Yuan took a bite. He could taste the crispy fragrant skin and the tender juicy meat. If it had been marinated with some honey or some cumin powder, it would have been even tastier. Indeed a delicacy, no less than the grass skirt monkey's brains. Even Bai Ningbing was full of praises. Our guest's happiness is our utmost pleasure. Ha ha ha. Bai Mo Xing laughed. Fang Yuan ate and ate, when suddenly, his tears started flowing out. Everyone was shocked. Bai clan leader asked, Junior Fang Zheng, why are you crying? The taste is truly divine, but thinking of the last few days where I and Ningbing could barely survive, going through one danger after another, and thinking of our clansmen suffering in the wild without food to eat, I can't help but feel heartache. Please forgive me, Bai clan leader. Fang Yuan stood up and cupped his fist. The few clan elders glanced at each other and sighed. Bai clan leader asked, my clan feels deep sympathy towards Gu Yu clan's disaster. Junior, can you tell me what in the world happened at Qingmao Mountain? Chapter 216, Green Copper Relic Gu. The once lively Qingmao Mountain had turned into a world of ice and snow. Such a change had long attracted the attention and investigations of nearby forces. In these few months, news of Qingmao Mountain being destroyed had gradually spread far. I don't dare to recall. Every time I think of it, it feels so painful. Fang Yuan sat down, his face full of grief. Servants, bring the wine. Seeing Fang Yuan unwilling to speak, Bai clan leader did not pursue the matter, but ordered her servants to bring 2 vats of wine. Bai Ningbing was indifferent, she never drank wine, only water. Fang Yuan opened the seal immediately, gulping and drinking a mouthful as his tears fell once again. Bai clan leader was stunned. Junior, why are you crying again? Your clan's wine is intoxicating, but it makes me recall our green bamboo wine and of those days when I drank on Qingmao Mountain. Fang Yuan wiped his tears as he said. The clan elders' sighs became even louder, and many started consoling Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's encounter caused them to feel a sense of resonance. After all, Bai clan's spirit spring was starting to dry out, and if they couldn't find a new spirit spring, Gu Yu clan's sorry state would be there. Bai clan's future. Bai clan leader consoled him once more, only then did Fang Yuan stop crying. Who would not feel pain when their home is destroyed? I can understand Junior's feelings. But as long as people remain, there is hope. Junior, don't grieve. I believe that in a few days, you will be reunited with your clansmen. Bai Mo Xing probed. Fang Yuan acted as if he was unaware, wiping his tears and answering casually, yeah, it should be in a few days. Hearing this reply, Bai Mo Xing and Bai clan leader glanced at each other. After the banquet, Bai clan leader called Bai Mo Xing and entered a secret discussion. Clan leader, the situation is bad. Gu Yu village was destroyed. Why did these remaining people come to Bai Gu Mountain? It is likely that they want to snatch this territory. Should we strike first instead? Bai Mo Xing was worried. He. Bai clan's female leader laughed lightly instead. Bai Mo Xing was bewildered. Why is clan leader laughing? The female clan leader squinted and explained, don't be rash, Elder Mo Xing, this situation has boon and bane. As long as we operate this well, we can save much effort. Bai Mo Xing started to ponder the clan leader's words deeply. That's right. Bai clan's spirit spring was running dry after so many years of usage. They needed to find a new spirit spring as soon as possible, and this time they were searching for a suitable spring on Bai Gu Mountain under the cover of hunting. Bai clan's main group had just arrived and could not find anything yet. But if Guyu clan's remnants were coming to Bai Gu Mountain, they had to know some intel. It could even be deduced that Guyu clan definitely held information on that spirit spring. Bai clan leader saw Bai Mo Xing's expression change and continued, "Looks like you got it. Actually, any large mountain is a gathering of primeval essence, and thus a spirit spring will be there. But to find the spirit spring's specific location, it is not easy and requires a lot of manpower and resources. There are Fong, Liao and Fan clan around our Bai clan, they are all strong clans with equal power. If the matter about our Bai clan's spirit spring running dry gets out, they will take advantage of the situation and attack our weakness, thus we decided earlier that we have to secretly find the spirit spring's location under the guise of a hunting competition. But by doing this, we are greatly restricted and have to expend even greater manpower and resources in searching for the spirit spring." Bai clan leader was full of worries, but could not express her helplessness. Bai Mo Xing continued, "Thus, clan leader wants to obtain information about the spirit spring from Guyu clan." "That's right." Bai clan leader nodded, her eyes shining brightly. Guyu clan's leader and elders won't be easy to deal with, but with those two youngsters in our control, this is a godsend opportunity. Bai Mo Xing frowned, "But, I see that those two are not stupid. That lass is obviously one of those iron-willed stubborn type, while that young lad, although weak, was unfazed in dangerous situations, being calm at all encounters. The first time we met, even when he was surrounded by us, he did not show a hint of panic. It will not be easy if we want them to divulge information." Bai clan leader chuckled, "If he did not have such composure, how would he be a clan's young master? These two young masters are very outstanding, but if they weren't, I would be doubting their identities." Bai Mo Xing continued, "Thus, you have to think twice, clan leader. If we interrogate them forcefully, they might not submit to us. With the traces they left behind, Guyu clan will be here soon. These are the type of desperate people with nothing to lose, except their lives." Bai clan leader waved her hand, "That is not a worry, clan elder, I have a plan." "Oh. This old one shall listen." Bai clan leader said it softly while Bai Mo Xing's old eyes kept on getting brighter. After Bai clan leader finished, Bai Mo Xing could not help but praise, "This is a good plan. I saw that Guyu Fangzheng is very attached to his clan, he even cried twice for his clan in the banquet. He is after all a youngster, clan leader, this plan that you came up with is like placing honey in front of a young bear or placing a carrot before a young rabbit. There will be no issues getting him hooked." Fong Yuan opened a corner of the tent's cover. It was night time already, but Bai clan's temporary camp was well lit. The tents were placed perfectly in order, with iron racks and torches at every certain distance, and patrolling Gu master groups all night round. "Young Master Fangzheng, what is the matter?" Fong Yuan had just opened the cover, and the two guards at the door immediately walked over. Fong Yuan burped out some wine, "I drank a lot of wine at the banquet, is there anywhere I can relieve myself?" "Young master, right this way. You are our esteemed guest, the clan leader has arranged a special spot for you, no further than 30 steps away." One of the guards immediately said. "Give me a direction, I do not like anyone near me when I pee." Fong Yuan rejected. "I do not dare to disobey young master, the wooden lavatory is right there." The guard pointed towards it, bowed and left. Fong Yuan got to the wooden lavatory, and after peeing, he pretended to be drowsy and walked in an opposite direction. He was not even 20 steps out when a few patrolling Gu masters came over. "Esteemed guest, that is the wrong direction, your tent is over there." "Is that so? I remembered it was there." Fong Yuan burped. Esteemed guest, this way please. By Clan Gu masters smiled hypocritically, with a forceful tone. Fong Yuan was brought back to the tent again. In the tent, the lights were turned on. There were 2 beds on eastern and western side in the tent. Bai Ningbing was sitting on her bed and cultivating, using primeval essence to nurture her aperture. Hearing Fong Yuan enter, she opened her eyes, inquiring with her gaze. Fong Yuan glanced at her, before falling down on the bed. Ningbing, sleep early. You were exhausted these few days. Don't worry, we will join up with our clansmen in few days. His words slurred at the end, and eventually he closed his eyes, snoring, evidently falling asleep. Bai Ningbing's pupils shrunk. She knew Fong Yuan was acting, purposely saying that as a precaution against any surveillance-type Gu worms. He had gone out earlier to pee, but returned so early, which meant the area was tightly secured and it was impossible for them to escape quietly in dark. She couldn't help but be worried. Although she was at rank 3 peak stage, her Gu worms were not optimal, causing her battle strength to be insufficient. While in this camp, Bai clan leader was at rank 4, and there are 5 to 6 clan elders, and a lot of rank 2 Gu masters. To be meat on somebody's chopping board. That was the current situation. Although Bai clan was a righteous faction, people die for fortune and birds die for food. Once the benefits exceeded the risk, they would definitely commit murder in secret. Bai Ningbing knew the Gu worms in Fong Yuan's possession were all extremely rare. Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus, Blood Skull Gu, once exposed, would definitely attract the greed of Bai clan Gu masters. The reason they did not act yet was because Fong Yuan used the threat of the non-existent Guyu clansmen to temporarily lie to them. A few days later, when they do not see Guyu clansmen arrive, they would be suspicious. By then, Fong Yuan and her would be at a tight spot. How do I get out of this predicament? Bai Ningbing frowned, staring at Fong Yuan. Fong Yuan had already turned around, his back facing her, and he seemed to have really slept from the sound of his relaxed breathing. You sure take it easy. Bai Ningbing snorted, feeling anxious and helpless in her heart. The next day. It was a bright sunny day. There were 3 loud drum beats which signified the Bai clan leader summoning the clansmen. Our Bai clan annual hunting competition starts from today and will continue for the next 7 days. It is time for you to display your strength. According to our rules, those who get a decent ranking will be heavily rewarded. Next, feel free to display all your bravery and strength. Bai clan leader waved her hand, and the village gates opened. The Gu masters were eager to start the competition, rushing out impatiently. Not long later, they entered the forest from their respective positions, vanishing into the wilderness. The crowded camp had become more spacious and empty. Junior Fangzheng, did you sleep well last night? Bai clan leader turned around, asking Fong Yuan with a smile. Fong Yuan cupped his fist, thank you clan leader for the hospitality. Last night I fell asleep immediately after lying down, and it was morning already when I woke up. Ha ha ha. Bai clan leader smiled, patting Fong Yuan's shoulders, giving off a kind and affectionate feeling. Does Junior want to enter our clan's hunting competition? Let us see the valor of a Guyu clansman. Fong Yuan showed a difficult expression, rejecting, I am ashamed. Junior was heavily injured not too long ago, and my cultivation fell from rank 3. Thankfully I was saved by the clan, but now I only have rank 1 middle stage cultivation. Even without Fong Yuan mentioning it, his rank 1 aura was clear to the eyes. No worries Junior. As our clan's esteemed guest, you will definitely be well treated. How about this, as long as Junior can hunt an adult black bear, this green copper relic Gu will be your reward. Bai clan leader clapped her hand, and a Gu master beside her opened his palm, as a finger-sized round ball-shaped Gu emerged. Fang Yuan laughed coldly in his heart, but showed an earnest expression, then this junior shall take up the invitation. Chapter 217, Giving Others a Hold on Oneself. Howl. In the forest, a plump black bear as large as 2 meters was standing on its 2 legs. It growled towards Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing, but the two were indifferent, causing the black bear to become furious. It landed on all fours and pounced towards the 2 youngsters. Do not be fooled by the bear's clumsy looks, its running speed was, in fact, very fast, twice the speed of ordinary humans. Seeing the black bear nearing 50 steps from him, Fang Yuan's lips curled up into a smile as if he had achieved his target. Bam! With a loud bang, soil was sent flying. The black bear cried out pitifully, its advancement came to a stop as if it had suffered a blow to the head. Overcome by anger due to suffering such an absurd attack, it quickly changed to another direction and rushed towards Fang Yuan once again. But after only stepping out for 10 steps, the ground exploded again. Howl! The black bear's chest was blown to a bloody mess, its eyes turned red as its rage reached a tipping point, rushing forward once again. A wild beast after all, lacking in intelligence. Fang Yuan sighed as he retreated. The black bear chased relentlessly, but there would be an explosion every few steps it took. After rushing for another few dozen steps, the black bear's body was full of injuries with none of its fur intact. It was limping as its 4 limbs were crippled, there was no longer the fearsomeness of before. Its anger had subsided, and the instinct for survival kicked in. Even though Fang Yuan was standing no further than 20 steps away, it chose to retreat. But Fang Yuan had already anticipated its retreating path, and dug a deep hole on the path, burying at least 5 charred thunder potato goo in there. Boom! With a loud explosion, the battle ended. At the same time, in the tent, wisps of smoke hovered in the air. In the smoke, images flashed, as they portrayed the process of Fang Yuan's battle in real time. Elder Mo Xing, what do you think? Bai clan leader spoke after the battle ended. Only she and Bai Mo Xing were inside the tent. If I am not wrong, this Gu clan young master is using the charred thunder potato goo. This goo is an expendable type, absorbing energy from the ground to grow, and explodes after impacted with vibrations. Among rank 2 goo worms, it has strong attacking power, but this goo is severely weakened on Bai Gu Mountain. Bai Gu Mountain has no soil, and even the mountain rocks are made of bones, the charred thunder potato goo cannot be planted. Bai Mo Xing continued evaluating. Bai clan leader shook her head, you analyzed well, but that's not the point. Did you not notice, Fang Zheng did everything by himself, from burying the charred thunder potato goo to the end of the battle. He has a rank 3 bodyguard but chose to use the rank 2 charred thunder potato goo himself through a tedious process. Every time he buries a seed, he has to use primeval stones to recover his primeval essence, but he insists on doing it himself. What does that say? Bai Mo Xing's eyes shone. I understand, this Fang Zheng is an upright person, not one of those who like to scheme and skive. He agreed to enter the hunting competition, thus no matter how hard it is, he will not use outside forces to cheat. Scheming and skiving characters have weak will, while upright characters are indomitable. If we want to find out the location of the spirit spring from these 2 people, the best way is to do so is indirectly, by using our wits. Hee, my confidence in last night's plans have increased again. Bai clan leader smiled. Luckily I was able to accomplish my goals. After half an incense was burnt through, Fang Yuan placed a torn bear skin in front of the Bai clan leader. He, in such a short time, Junior managed to kill an adult black bear, as expected of Gu clan's young master. Bai clan leader's face showed a trace of shock, which immediately turned into a smile. Junior might as well go back to rest, the green copper relic Gu will be sent over shortly. Thank you clan leader, this Junior will take his leave. Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing moved out of the central tent and back to their tent. Soon after, a Gu master brought over the green copper relic Gu. Fang Yuan took it, and immediately used it on the spot, raising his cultivation from middle to upper stage. Gu master's small realms were easy to break through and was just a matter of efforts and time. Big realms, however, needed aptitude to break through. Relic Gu, stone aperture Gu along with many other Gu worms could reduce the time needed by Gu master to raise their cultivation. As for rank 1 upper stage, it is still rank 1. This small growth could not change or affect the situation at all. At night, Bai clan leader organized a banquet again, inviting Fang and Bai. Bai clan's tradition was to hold banquets every day during the hunting competition. Large bonfire banquets were held in the open areas. As for the small banquet in the central tent, only the first few ranked participants would be invited. But because Fang and Bai had different identities, they still remained on the guest seats. Come, let me introduce to Junior our clan's rising star. You youngsters should interact with each other. During the banquet, Bai Mo Xing started the conversation. There were 4 youngsters in the tent, 2 males and 2 females, all were rank 3 Gu masters. One of the guys was Bai Mo Xing's nephew, Bai Mo Ting. He had a slim body and was ranked 3rd in today's hunting. Among the 2 girls, one was called Bai Chao Shui who looked very careless, but was ranked 4th. The other was called Bai Lian, she had white skin and thick eyebrows which gave her a fresh aura, she was the most beautiful girl in Bai clan. The 2 girls sat opposite each other, forming a stark contrast. Bai Zhanlai greets the 2 esteemed guests. A young male Gu master took the initiative and stole the words out of Bai Mo Xing's mouth. He was muscular and his manners contained arrogance along with strong battle intent. Looking at Fang and Bai, he first paused at Fang Yuan before showing a smile of disdain. Next his gaze was locked onto Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing was like a snow fairy with her silver hair and blue eyes, surpassing Bai Lian in terms of beauty. More importantly, she was at rank 3 peak stage, attracting Bai Zhanlai's attention. He snorted, it seems that your Guyu clan has strong women and weak men. Bai Ningbing was like an ice block, showing no reaction. Fang Yuan's expression turned cold and slightly ugly. Bai clan leader interrupted, this is the #1 youth expert in our clan, Junior, don't blame him for his inconsiderate words. Of course not. Fang Yuan moved his lips, facing Bai clan leader, brother Zhanlai is a dragon among men, I am deeply amazed. His tone was complex, and his expression was perfectly displayed, some tolerance due to being under others' roof, the helplessness of his own weak cultivation and some indignant pride of a youngster. Even Bai Ningbing was taken by surprise. Bai Zhanlai snorted, while Fang Yuan laughed coldly in his heart. He knew the Bai clan situation, but Bai clan did not know his true trump cards. The situation might seem dire for him, but he had a strong grasp on the advantage he had, information. How to make good use of this advantage, that is the key to getting out of our predicament. Green copper relic Gu is a good sign, showing that Bai clan is worried about the non-existent Guyu clan remnants. They do not want to do it by force, but instead trick and manipulate us. Is this Bai Zhanlai the next chess piece? Now that I think about it, his tone earlier was too forceful. If he really is the Bai clan's next move, there will be some problems. I might as well give my handle to them and expose my weakness. If he allowed the Bai clan to set up traps this casually, Fang Yuan would no doubt fall into a more passive situation. Instead, he might as well give others a hold on himself, and expose some fake weaknesses, to gain some initiative. Thinking so, Fang Yuan's gaze swept through the tent, a ploy brewing in his scheming mind. He looked at Bai Lian, opposite him. After staring for a while, Bai Lian seemed to have noticed his gaze, but Fang Yuan turned his head over, seemingly observing something else. As the banquet continued, Fang Yuan took peeks at Bai Lian from time to time, but avoided eye contact with her. When the banquet was almost over, Fang Yuan peeked more often. This situation was easily noticed by the Bai clan leader, and some clan elders. The clan elders showed some amusement in their eyes. It was a common thing for youths to get infatuated. Bai Lian was the beauty of Bai clan, it was natural for her to attract the attention of Guyu clan young master. After the banquet was over, Bai Mo Xing excitedly went to see the clan leader. Clan leader, did you see what happened during the banquet? Bai clan leader smiled, let me plan a bit more. The night passed by silently. During the second day of the hunting competition, Bai clan leader called Fang Yuan again, telling him to hunt a earth horn rhino. Fang Yuan reenacted the same method, using the charred thunder potato goo and blasting the earth horn rhino, bringing back its horn. Bai clan leader praised him and rewarded him with a clearing heat goo. Clearing heat goo was like an armored worm fossil, with a half-transparent jade rock texture. He felt a cool air passing on to him when he held it in his hand. This goo was a rank 2 healing goo, used to cure poison. Fang Yuan had finally fixed his greatest weakness after getting this goo. During the campfire banquet that night. This is my son and daughter. Bai Sheng, Bai Hua, stand up and toast this brother. Bai clan leader said. A pair of twins stood up, raising their cups like an adult, saying together, Bai Sheng, Bai Hua, toasts Guyu young master. They bowed slightly with a solemn expression, showing their good upbringing. There was no hint of any childishness. Fang Yuan was slightly stunned and sized up this pair of siblings attentively. According to his previous life, these two kids would be the famous righteous twin stars, their fame would last a long period of time. Both cultivated to rank 5 and expanded the Bai clan village to an unprecedented height. At the same time, they were the inheritors of the Bai Gu mountain inheritance, and Bai Sheng even became the Bai clan leader eventually. In a clan, the clan leader position was usually inherited by the clan leader's own children. But for Guyu village, where the clan leader does not have children, they would choose an outstanding youngster from their pure bloodline descendants. People have a growing process. Bai Sheng and Bai Hua might be grand heroes in the future, but now they were still too young, not even students yet. Fang Yuan retracted his gaze and concentrated on Bai Lian again. The banquet continued. During the period, Fang Yuan continued to peek on Bai Lian, as Bai Zhanlai continued to find problems, his tone haughtier than before. Bai Mo Xing's nephew Bai Mo Ting was instead peeking at Bai Ningbing. Chapter 218, Performing a Great Show. On the third day, Bai clan leader called for Fang Yuan again and gifted him many primeval stones in the name of hunting. During the banquet, apart from stealing glances at Bai Lian, Fang Yuan took the initiative to toast a Bai clan leader with a sincere and grateful expression. Bai clan leader didn't speak but was inwardly very satisfied. This night, Bai Lian visited Fang Yuan on her own accord. Her friend had been poisoned and clearing heat goo would be very effective on it. However, clearing heat goo was rare, thus she came to Fang Yuan to borrow it. Can't endure it anymore, huh? Fang Yuan sneered inwardly while lending the clearing heat goo without any objection. Bai Lian seemed to be very grateful for this. Fang Yuan then took the initiative to enthusiastically chat with her, the two started becoming closer and their relation rapidly improved. The fifth day, at the banquet. Bai clan leader suddenly asked, Junior, is your Guyu clan thinking of settling down in Bai Gu mountain? Fang Yuan immediately stood up. He tried to appear composed, but couldn't conceal the panic in his eyes. Bai Gu Mountain lies close to Bai Village, we could say it your esteemed clan's territory. How could we dare to encroach upon it? Bai clan leader smiled inwardly. She became more certain that the Guyu clan's objective was Bai Gu Mountain. However, she hypocritically said, Junior might not be fully aware of the complicated situation here. The pressure on our Bai clan is very big. It would be great if Guyu clan could stay here at Bai Gu Mountain as our clan's ally. Fang Yuan promptly denied. Bai Mo Xing also persuaded. Fang Yuan seemed to be moved but he did not yield. After the banquet, Bai Lian also came over to indirectly talk about it. Fang Yuan's expression became complicated, but he still didn't admit it. Humph, this kid, his mouth is very tight. After the banquet, in the tent, Bai Mo Xing gritted his teeth and sighed. This is the demeanor of the young master of a clan, I am not surprised. We just have to raise the heat. Bai clan leader's gaze was pensive. The next day, dawn. Fang Yuan was still sleeping, when he was woken up by quarreling noises from outside the tent. He walked outside the tent to take a look, only to see Bai Zhanlai aggressively pulling Bai Lian's hands. Bai Zhanlai, I told you many times to stop bothering me. Love can't be forced. Bai Lian swung off Bai Zhanlai's hand and said with an icy expression, I still have things to do, take your leave. Today's hunting competition is about to begin, what things do you have to do? Or are you going to look for that gigolo from Guyu village? Bai Zhanlai furiously roared. Say whatever you want. Young Master Fang Zheng is very kind and even lent the clearing heat Gu when I asked for it. If it was not for his help, could Bai Xingjing recover so quickly? Lian Air, can you not be so simple-minded? Clearing heat Gu, the way I see it he is just thinking to get intimate with you. Don't tell me you didn't sense his glances. Bai Zhanlai worriedly said. Bai Lian glared, Bai Zhanlai, enough is enough. Ah, young Master Fang Zheng. As the two quarreled, they saw Fang Yuan who was standing outside the tent. Fang Yuan looked a little embarrassed and his gaze showed some worry as he said to Bai Lian, so it was Lady Bai Lian. Please come in if you have something to say. You lad. Bai Zhanlai turned furious and seemed about to find trouble for Fang Yuan, but was stopped by Bai Lian halfway through. Bai Zhanlai, what do you think you are doing? Are you crazy? This is our clan's esteemed guest. What esteemed guest, he is no more than a stray dog. Bai Zhanlai spat in contempt as he pointed at Fang Yuan, kid, if you have guts then let's have a real contest. The loser will have to stop bothering Lian Air. Humph, I am only a rank 1 whereas you are a rank 3 and you have the nerve to say this. Could it be the Grand Bai clan has no fairness? Fang Yuan's expression turned ugly. In this world, there has never been fairness, there are only strong and weak. You are a coward if you don't dare to compete. So it turns out the Guyu clan produces cowards, ha ha ha. Bai Zhanlai threw his head back and laughed, the sound attracting many people. What's going on? Bai Mo Xing hurried over at this moment. Bai Lian explained everything to him. Bai Mo Xing immediately criticized Bai Zhanlai, stop fooling around, you actually dared to be rude to the esteemed guest. Bai Zhanlai raised his head, he didn't dare to take up my challenge, he is not a warrior. Since he is not a warrior, why should I be courteous to him? You. Bai Mo Xing stared in fury. Bai Lian said, anyone who accepts such challenge would be an idiot. Young Master Fang Zheng's cultivation has fallen because of injuries. If he was at his peak state, you might not be his opponent. A young lady was saying such things towards Fang Yuan. If Fang Zheng was really here, his heart would have been completely filled with appreciation. Fang Yuan, however, sneered, such a good performance. I will compete with you in place of young Master Fong Zheng. Bai Lian continued. Bai Zhanlai gasped with rage, why are you sticking out for him, besides on what basis are you representing him? He is only a gigolo, a spineless coward, I alone can win 10 of him. I won't compete with you. Kid, if you have guts then stand up. Not even saying anything, are you still a man? If you want to compete, then let's compete, who is afraid of whom? Fong Yuan seemed to have been spurred on by the remarks, as he straightened his neck and said in an impulsive manner. Lord Elder, did you hear it? He agreed. Bai Zhanlai immediately shouted out with glee all over his face. Bai Mo Xing furrowed his brows, one should always be brave enough to receive challenges. Junior Fong Zheng, we all see your bravery, but you are our clan's esteemed guest, how will we explain to Guyu clan if there are any mishaps? And your cultivations are not at the same level, so the challenge loses its fairness. Lord Elder is correct, Junior was thoughtless. Fong Yuan deliberately hesitated. Seeing Fong Yuan seemingly about to withdraw, Bai Zhanlai and Bai Lian quickly communicated with their gazes. Bai Zhanlai continued to speak, provoking Fong Yuan's anger and spurring him on. Bai Lian bit her lips, before walking in front of Fong Yuan. She opened her watery big eyes and spoke softly, young Master Fong Zheng, if I may be so bold to ask a favor. Oh, what request? I really wish young Master would accept this challenge and help me get rid of Bai Zhanlai's persistence. I really can't endure his harassment. Bai Lian said with eyes filled with tears. A young girl was imploring a boy like this, to drive away a nasty pursuer. Especially if this boy also had good feelings about this young girl. Tell me, which boy could refuse? Thereupon, Fong Yuan immediately patted his chest and agreed, not to worry Lady Bai Lian, your affairs are my affairs, I will give it my all. Fong Yuan paused before speaking with some hesitation, it is just that my cultivation is weaker than his at the moment. Just in case I lost. Please be at ease young master, I have a plan already. Bai Lian's smile was like the blooming of a daffodil. She turned around and said to Bai Mo Xing, Lord Elder, young Master Fong Zheng might have agreed to the contest, but if we really were to continue with the duel, we might injure our harmony and it also wouldn't be fair. I have a proposal, the hunting competition is ongoing currently, how about we take this chance to divide them into 5-person group and compete with the hunting accomplishments? Yes, it is a good proposal. Bai Mo Xing felt his beard and slightly nodded, okay, you will choose your own teams. But to be fair, the cultivation level of your teams must be proportionate. Bai Zhanlai snorted in annoyance. Yes. Bai Lian promptly bowed in happiness. After an hour, the two sides set off. On Fong Yuan's side, there were rank 3 Bai Ningbing, Bai Lian and 2 other female Gu masters with a similar age to Bai Lian, both all having rank 2 cultivation. Among them was Bai Xingjing who was very grateful to Fong Yuan. She was the one who was poisoned and had been cured by Fong Yuan's clearing heat Gu. The group was harmonious, and although Fong Yuan had the lowest cultivation, he was the core of the group. Young master, you don't need to worry, we have already gotten detailed information on the locations of the more precious preys. You only need to follow us. Bai Xingjing was responsible for scouting, and she was quite lively. The group followed her, and sure enough, they were able to kill many unique prey. Fong Yuan didn't have to exert himself and the whole thing felt like he was going on an excursion rather than hunting. Young Master Fong Zheng, I heard others saying your Guyu clan is migrating to Bai Gu Mountain, is that true? Bai Xingjing seemed to have asked casually when they were returning from their rewarding hunt. Those talks are all baseless. Fong Yuan smiled. Young master, you are gentle and refined, an upright gentleman, much better than that Bai Zhanlai. Sigh, if you could stay at Baigu Mountain then we could meet each other more often in future. Bai Xingjing continued. Fang Yuan laughed and secretly glanced at Bai Lian who was walking alongside him. Bai Lian seemed to be worried. Settling down and establishing the village is not an easy thing. The most important condition is to find a spirit spring. However, the primeval energy around the spirit spring is very dense, so there will definitely be beasts pack or formidable wild gu worms living near it. To establish the village, the very first exploration group will have to go through intense battles, either killing beast packs or the wild gu worms. This process will definitely be accompanied by bloodbath and sacrifices. Upon saying so, she looked at Fang Yuan. Actually, there are many bone gu living in Baigu Mountain. These bone gu have tough physique and are difficult to deal with. There are also no soil in Baigu Mountain, the ground is all made of bones and stones. It is not impossible to establish a village and survive on this mountain, but the price to pay is very high. Oh, is it so? Fang Yuan's smile contained a trace of reluctance and his gaze seemed to reveal deep worry. Then, he pretended to act nonchalant, asking, I am quite interested in Baigu Mountain. Bai Lian, your clan could be said to be half the owner, could you tell me what dangers are on this mountain? Bai Lian smiled, then please listen, young master. She exaggeratedly spoke while secretly activating the anxiety accumulation gu inside her aperture. This gu worked as quietly as the spring breeze and would silently influence everyone within 10 steps of it. It aggravated people's thoughts and increased their worries. Fang Yuan's smiling expression gradually faded and the worries in his eyes became more visible. Young Master Fang Jing doesn't need to worry, we will definitely win against Bai Zhanlai this time. Bai Xingjing intentionally eased Fang Yuan's worries. Fang Yuan nodded and after replying few sentences, he appeared absent-minded. Following, he kept on asking many questions. They were all about Baigu Mountain, especially about certain areas in the back of the mountain. Bai Lian patiently answered all his questions. This scene was playing in real time in the camp. The fish has taken the bait. Bai clan leader showed a smug smile, back of the mountain. She started looking at the map on the table. Chapter 219, Entering Baigu Mountain. After a short period of time, Bai clan leader took her gaze off the map, giving up. Baigu Mountain was huge, even though the range was restricted to the back mountain, it was still a long way to pinpointing the exact location. That Guyu lad, he is on guard against our Bai clan and would not ask for the direction directly. It seems that to find out the location of the spirit spring, we will need to buck up. Bai clan leader gritted her teeth, evaluating. Once they obtained the location of the spirit spring, Bai clan would hold a thorough investigation. But if the spirit spring surrounding beast groups isn't a lot, and the price for killing them isn't huge, I will strike directly. After all, we have the initiative to act first. But if the surrounding wild beasts and gu worms are too many, we will provide support and reinforce Guyu clan, making them bear the brunt of the attacks, while we wait for the opportunity to reap the rewards afterwards. If we do this well, we might even absorb the remnants of Guyu clan. He he he. Thinking of the great plan, Bai clan leader laughed out. She had no idea now, that the so-called Guyu remnants were just a big fat lie. In fact, Fang Yuan obtained even more valuable information from Bai Lian. The righteous inheritance was at the back mountain of Baigu Mountain. Fang Yuan did not fake the information. However, there were many bone beasts at the back mountain, and even more gu worms dominating the area. It would be tough and full of obstacles to claim the area as a clan territory. He knew from Bai Lian's words, that there were some exaggeration. Relying on his 500 years of experience, he filtered the exaggerated parts, and obtained one truth: if he and Bai Ningbing worked together, to get to the inheritance ground, it would take at least half a year. The situation on Baigu Mountain was not like the woods. There were large numbers of wild beast groups, and many ferocious beasts and dangerous goo worms lurked. Many areas needed to be avoided and some places even needed to be steered clear of. Once back at the village, it was like what Bai Xingjing said, their battle results were superior to Bai Zhanlai. After a day of circulation, this competition was widely known. The five walked in the campgrounds, receiving much attention. Senior Bai Lian won today. That is just Lord Bai Zhanlai being unlucky. You know, hunting relies on luck too. If you do not encounter rare prey, so what if you have strength? Those two, are they the ones from Gu clan? Who is that girl? So beautiful, not any less than Bai Lian's beauty. I heard this Gu clan young master is interested in Lord Bai Lian, truly a lame toad trying to eat swan meat. According to my observations, this person's nature is flawed. Having one beside him already, yet craving another, no wonder Lord Bai Zhanlai was furious. Everyone can tell Lord Bai Zhanlai is interested in Senior Bai Lian. After all, I heard they were childhood friends. Sigh, unfortunately the feeling isn't mutual. Many whispers and secret talks were undergoing, as people lowered their heads. Fang Yuan looked like he was gloomy, even though he won, he did not show any joy on his face. Only until at night, at the central tent, as another campfire banquet was held. The twins, Bai Sheng and Bai Hua, toasted to Fang Yuan before being brought away. In the tent, many new faces emerged. Bai Lian and Bai Zhanlai's competition caused them to leave the ordinary hunting competition. Thus, the spots they used to hold were freed now, causing many youngsters in the Bai clan to step up. These two males were evidently closer to Bai Zhanlai, one stared at Fang Yuan angrily during the banquet while the other was apathetic. Junior, it has been so many days, where are your clansmen? At the banquet, Bai clan leader asked. Fang Yuan showed some worry, according to my calculations, it should be these few days. Sigh, maybe they encountered some trouble, but with their strength, there should be no problems. Bai clan leader nodded, what she was concerned with was Fang Yuan. After spending so much effort, and establishing this stage. At this point where progress was being made, and success was around the corner, she did not want the Guyu remnants to appear and thwart the entire plot. What she did not know was, her worry was unnecessary. In this world, only two Guyu remained, Fang Yuan and Fang Zheng. No worries Junior, I have sent people to scout around, I believe that not long later, you will hear news of your clansmen. After reacting, Bai clan leader consoled Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan quickly thanked her, as Bai Ningbing frowned. The situation was getting more critical, the longer they dragged, the worse it was for them. Now was still fine, using excuses to answer them. After all, in the wild, encountering unexpected troubles is normal. But after they dragged it out, Bai clan would be suspicious, and may even find out the truth behind their lies. But these days, they continued to hunt in the wild, and Bai Ningbing did not dare to do anything. She knew that there were Bai clan Gu masters invigilating the entire process, hiding at a corner. They lacked a strong movement Gu, and with the complex forest terrain, it limited their speed. In Bai Ningbing's perspective, the situation was worsening by the day, they seemed to have fallen deep into the quicksand, sinking deeper as time passed, at this rate they would be thoroughly consumed. What exactly are you planning? Bai Ningbing stared at Fang Yuan. She understood Fang Yuan, he was not the type of person to wait and die. But because of her little life experiences, she could not think of a way to break out of the situation. In this environment, she could not discuss openly with Fang Yuan either. The pressure in Bai Ningbing's heart was intensifying. Another day passed. Fang Yuan's group was narrowly beating Bai Zhanlai's group in terms of results. At the banquet, Bai clan leader called by Mo Xing for another secret discussion. Clan leader tapped on the table with her finger. This cannot go on, although today during the hunting, Bai Lian continued to talk about the dangers of Baigu Mountain. I could feel Fang Zheng wavering, but time waits for no one. Once the Guyu group shows up, Fang Zheng would have found his pillar of support, and our efforts would have been in vain. Time is not on our side. Bai clan leader sighed, unable to hide her worry. What she did not know was, Bai Ningbing was more worried than her. Time was even more precious for Bai Ningbing and Fang Yuan. Bai Mo Xing pondered for a while. Clan leader, the way I see it, it is not realistic to expect Fang Zheng to trust us in the short run and give us the location of the spirit spring. I have an idea here, but we still need to continue manipulating and intensifying his pressure. Oh. Speak. Bai Mo Xing whispered softly. Bai clan leader nodded slightly. You are right, that Fang Zheng is very anxious, probably worried that his clan would suffer too much losses from fighting for the spirit spring. Doesn't he want information on the area near the spirit spring? He definitely wants it, but is wary of us. Moreover, their cultivation is weak too. Your idea seems good. Subconsciously, the female clan leader felt that this method was inappropriate, but now that they had no better plans they could only try this. Thus, on the third day of the duel, Bai Zhanlai accidentally caught a wild swimming dragon butterfly during hunting, and the entire camp was in a commotion. Bai Lian showed a grim expression. The situation is looking bad. Swimming dragon butterfly Gu, rank 3 in very precious. Bai Zhanlai's score is way ahead of us. We can only take a risky move to have a chance to win. I am very clear of the forest's terrain. We can only go into Baigu Mountain to hunt, and kill bone beasts or capture wild bone Gu. Bai Ningbing heard this, and her heart jumped. Baigu Mountain, isn't that the best way to break out of their predicament? To think that an opportunity would arrive like this. Although Baigu Mountain was dangerous, it was the best way to escape Bai clan. Fang Yuan shook his head. This is too dangerous, Lady Bai Lian, we have limited strength, forget it. Bai Ningbing stared with wide-opened eyes, wanting to strangle Fang Yuan so badly. Bai Lian laughed instead. No worries, young master. I have a plan. I have a good relationship with Bai Sheng and Bai Hua. We can coax them into joining the hunt tomorrow. They have no cultivation, thus they are not considered reinforcements for us. But they have Gu masters hiding around protecting them from danger. If we enter Baigu Mountain and encounter danger, how can they not help? We will not take the wild beasts they kill, but only hunt our own. The beast groups are bound to have the old, sickly and weak. The wild beasts on Baigu Mountain are way more valuable. Fang Yuan was shocked, to think that Bai clan is doing this, all just to prevent my suspicion. As he thought so in his heart, he said instead, great idea. Lady Bai Lian is truly pure-hearted, I am very amazed. No, I am flattered. Bai Lian smiled shyly, but smugness flashed across her eyes. In the smoke, an image appeared. In the image, there were 7 people. Other than Fang Yuan, Bai Lian and the 3, there were also 2 children, the Bai clan young masters. It seems Baigu Mountain is very peaceful. We've moved for so long, and not encountered any trouble. In the image, Bai Xingjing spoke. Bai clan leader snorted out of anger. To protect them, she sent out a large number of Gu masters to pave the way, not leaving behind a single elder, all protecting them in secret. The reason Fang Yuan's group was having such an easy time, and encountering sporadic wild beasts, was because they were purposely left behind by the Bai clan Gu masters. In this 6 hours, Bai clan had sacrificed tens of outstanding Gu masters, and even 3 elders were injured. Among them, 2 were severely injured, falling unconscious and were on the way back to camp. But this was still by Gu Mountain's foot. The more they ascended, the more danger lurked. Don't see how easily Fang Yuan and the others traveled. This was all due to the other Gu masters' sacrifice of life and blood. Especially by Gu Mountain, no one lived there, and it was a wild beast territory. To pave the way and explore, the price to pay was huge. Fang Yuan continued to ascend, and with Bai Lian's guidance, they arrived at Bai Gu Back Mountain. We have limited information, I do not know where to continue going. The sky is getting dark, maybe we should get back. Bai Lian purposely said. Since we're here, we might as well explore. Fang Yuan said instead. He looked around, trying to discern, like he was trying to find something. He started to lead them, according to his memories, he knew the inheritance ground was close by. Hey, can you at least try to pretend? Beside him, Bai Ningbing saw this and was screaming in her heart. Fang Yuan's behavior was already out of character. Bai Ningbing looked around worriedly, but what was strange was, be it Bai Lian, Bai Xingjing or the others, it seemed they could not tell anything, letting Fang Yuan search in silence. Good, this is it. It seems this place is very close to the spirit spring. In the tent, the clan leader said agitatedly. He, Fang Zheng, you are still too young. They entered the cave. Is the spirit spring inside the cave? The image flashed, showing the insides of the cave. Right when Bai clan leader was getting confused, someone reported from the outside, reporting to clan leader, an investigative Gu master is back, bringing a Thai clan Gu master, they have important news to report. Chapter 220, turns out they were demonic scoundrels. Important information. Bai clan leader frowned, what could be more important than the spirit spring? Since it's not an emergency, let them wait first. She instructed before turning her gaze back to the smoke image. The image showing the situation in the cave, Fang Yuan and the group moved deeper into the cave, till they reached the end. This cave wasn't big. Bai clan leader was disappointed as she did not see the spirit spring, there was no way it could be in a place like this. It seems that we still need some time to find the spirit spring. Bai clan leader muttered. She swung her sleeves and kept the smoke back in, before saying towards the outside of the tent, call them in. The tent flap was opened, a fierce and vigorous investigative Gu master walked in and bowed, this subordinate greets Lord clan leader, I have an important news to report. There was a trace of anxiety in his voice. You captured a Thai clan Gu master. Bai clan leader frowned slightly. Thai clan was a huge powerhouse which not even 10 Bai clans could match. There would be huge trouble if the matter was not handled properly. Bai clan leader was blaming the subordinate in her heart, this Thai clan Gu master was like a bomb, he should have killed him secretly in the woods. Bringing him back to the clan would leave behind evidence and cause complications. This subordinate had received a mission, and while investigating the directions of the Guyu remnants, I accidentally found a heavily injured Gu master. I was suspicious at first, thinking he was a Guyu clansman. But after healing him, he claimed to be a Thai clan Gu master. And he told me a shocking news. Qing Mao Mountain's 3 clans were completely wiped out. A mysterious demonic Gu master managed to escape from the disaster, and the Thai clan mobilized their Gu masters to pursue these demonic Gu masters. The investigative Gu master reported. What did you say? Bai clan leader was surprised, her heart jumped, and she started frowning. At this instance, Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing's images flashed in her mind. Are these 2 youngsters demonic Gu masters? They didn't look like it. Especially when she thought about Fang Yuan's crying image at the banquet, how can such a person be a demonic Gu master? How can you be sure this person is a Thai clan Gu master? Bai clan leader asked again. This is the Tai clan token I got from his body. And his Gu worms are also Tai clan's characteristic Gu worms. The investigative Gu master said while handing over a metal token. Bai clan leader received the token, she felt a cold sensation from the token. It was indeed the Tai clan token, but there is also a possibility that this person killed the Tai clan Gu master and took the token as their loot. Maybe this person is trying to mislead us, he might just be the demonic Gu master the Tai clan is pursuing. Bai clan leader thought of a possibility. In order to live, demonic Gu masters obviously have to lie about their identity. The Bai clan leader had too deep of a preconceived perception. But no matter what, she would have to confirm it herself. She squinted and said, "Bring that captive here. Move." Soon, the tent was opened and a Gu master was brought over. It was Daoist Gu, his hair was a mess and his face pale as he walked towards the Bai clan leader. "Kneel down." The Gu master behind kicked, and this strong-willed man grunted, kneeling on the ground. But he strongly resisted and tried to remain standing. "Stay still." Two Gu masters behind him held each of his arms, forced him down. Daoist Gu's struggling was to no avail, he shouted, "I, Daoist Gu, will kneel to the heavens and earth, will kneel to my parents, will kneel to the clan leader, but do not humiliate me, or I'd rather die." "Oh, great acting." Bai clan leader's eyebrows raised, but she just sneered and interrogated, "Speak, you are a demonic Gu master, how did you kill the Tai clan Gu master and obtain this token?" Daoist Gu was stunned, before spitting out some bloody phlegm, spit. "I am Daoist Gu of the Grand Tai clan, my name and surname will never change. Now that I've landed in your hands, do whatever you wish to me, but trying to frame me like this, isn't it too hypocritical?" The phlegm did not land on Bai clan leader, as it hit an invisible wall in midair and fell on the ground. Bai clan leader's expression turned ugly. Daoist Gu laughed coldly, "Our Tai clan is an expert in pursuing an investigation. Bai clan, you captured me and humiliated me like this, hee, you better decimate my corpse, and pray you are not found out. If not, you shall face the wrath and revenge of our entire Tai clan." Bai clan leader sneered, "You keep claiming to be a Tai clan Gu master, but I've seen many Tai clan Gu masters, those who are below rank 5 would move in large numbers, and are extremely spirited, and iron-willed. Not only are you traveling alone, just look at your state, you should act better if you want to pass off as a Tai clan Gu master." Daoist Gu's cold sneering froze. Bai clan leader's words triggered the most painful memory in his heart. Back when they left Qingmao Mountain, all 9 of them were high-spirited, but now only he was left and that too as a prisoner. Sadness. Especially when he thought about how Tai Ao Tian died, the huge regret and pity intensified his pain. Tai Ao Tian was the Tai clan's 4th young master, with superior talent and a determined nature. There were many expectations placed on him since young. He was a strong competitor for the clan leader position, and was the future hope of the Tai clan. The intellect and talent he displayed made Daoist Gu see the future of the Tai clan in his hands. But when that overwhelming explosion occurred, everything ended. It was too abrupt. Tai Ao Tian, who was in the middle of the explosion, didn't even have time to activate his defensive Gu before he was blown to bits. A generation's genius, the star of the future, died in such an obscure way. Not only Tai Ao Tian, some others were affected as well and died in the explosion along with countless Gu worms. There were only 2 people alive, both heavily injured. Tai Ku Dao was one of them. Back then he was at the back of the team, and because his skin had turned into bronze skin by his Gu worm, he preserved his life. Another injured person had lost half his body, and in a short while, fell into a coma, eventually dying after resuscitation failed. Daoist Gu cried as he buried his clansmen. He had wanted to bury them separately, but most of the corpses were in pieces. Ao Tian was the most pathetic, only a palm-sized piece of flesh was left of him. He carried his extreme pain and grief, and built a tomb, cutting a huge rock and moving it there as a marking. Next, he investigated the explosion site. With his experience, he concluded it was the charred thunder potato Gu. Almost 100 charred thunder potatoes, buried together. Without a doubt, this was a huge, devious, ruthless and extremely evil trap. Who would do such a wicked thing? Who set this trap? Daoist Gu thought about it hard, and felt that Fong and Bai were the most suspicious. Of course, he did not know their names or the exact info, but he understood that this culprit was most likely the demonic Gu master they had been chasing. Too despicable. Too vicious. Daoist Gu flew into a rage, his hatred as deep as the sea. Revenge, he must get revenge, and bring this demonic Gu master to justice. Daoist Gu could no longer return to Tai clan. He was responsible to get to the end of the fourth young master's death. Furthermore, if he returned empty-handed like this, it would be a huge disgrace to his character. He had to continue the chase. His life had suddenly turned from colorful to gray. He wanted to kill the demonic Gu master of Qing Mao Mountain to vent his anger. Even if he could not, he wanted to give his all. Revenge. Revenge. He shouted, he would not stop until he killed Fong and Bai. However, reality was cruel. His injuries could not receive proper healing, and in a few days, he suffered from a high fever and terrible headache. He also encountered beast groups' attack, and barely managed to escape through the river. But without proper supplies, he still fainted in the end. When he was awake, he found that he was saved, but became Bai clan's captive. Thinking back, it was all a series of painful events. Daoist Gu kneeled in the tent with tears flowing out uncontrollably. Bai clan leader was amazed. Daoist Gu did not answer her questions and just kept on giving off a determined aura. This did not look like a fake identity, like a demonic Gu master who wanted to live. Is this person really from Tai clan? Bai clan leader started to feel something amiss, the bad feeling in her heart starting to spread. She wanted to find out more details, but Daoist Gu did not reply and even closed his eyes. Bai clan leader's mind turned as she suddenly said, "Not long ago, our Bai clan entertained 2 Guyu clan guests. They are 2 youngsters, one claiming to be Guyu clan's young master." Before she finished, Daoist Gu opened his eyes abruptly. His once dead eyes started shining with radiance. Hatred, anger, joy, all sorts of complex emotions burst forth. He wanted to get up agitatedly, but was pushed down by the 2 Gu masters behind him. He shouted, "It's them, it's definitely them. To think I met them here. 2 people, and even youngsters, humph, they must be the demonic Gu masters that escaped from Qing Mao Mountain." Daoist Gu did not know the situation on Bai clan, the investigative Gu master only interrogated, there was no way he would tell him such information. Bai clan leader quickly asked, "If you are a Tai clan Gu master, where are your companions?" Daoist Gu's attitude changed completely at this point. For the sake of revenge, he answered seriously, "They're dead." "Where did they die? Where are the corpses?" Daoist Gu's expression changed, "I cannot tell you this. The dead shall rest in peace, even if you suspect me, I will not allow you to dig their graves." Bai clan leader's heart sank after hearing this. These were not words a demonic Gu master would say. "Don't tell me." An intense worry grew in Bai clan leader's heart. She could not help but wave her sleeves, as a colorful smoke flew out and coiled around in the air, forming an image. Your clan's young master is in our hands, all of you get out now. In the image, Fang Yuan had already fallen through with Bai clan, he was gripping Bai Hua and Bai Xing's throats as he threatened. Bai clan leader was instantly dumbstruck. After a few breaths' time, she flew into a rage, slamming the table in front of her into smithereens. She wanted to scream. Turns out they were demonic scoundrels.